Shut up and sit down.
Cyclist Tyler Hamilton had to explain why somebody else's blood was in his veins. He claimed a vanished twin absorbed by his body in the womb. The court didn't buy it.
A Russian lab used a secret hole in the wall in an attempt to win Olympic medals, making this the first known example of a literal glory hole.
On Schenkoff's cocktails, and 3 different performance-enhancing drugs were, on his instructions, washed down by athletes with alcohol to shorten the detection period. Chivas for male athletes, vermouth for the ladies.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. I'm looking into blood doping. I think it will allow me to write jokes with greater intensity and for a longer period of time. Enjoy the podcast.
People are smart. Do they say, has Lance Armstrong ever tested positive? No. Has Lance Armstrong been tested? A lot.
Wow, that is some confident lying. Remember, this is the man who looked America dead in the eyes and said, bicycling is a very cool sport, and we f***ing believed him. For as long as there's been science, people have used it to juice the human body. In the 1920s, a Russian-born French surgeon grafted thin slices of chimp testicles into people's scrotums, which was obviously ridiculous. These days we know you need a thick slice of chimp testicles. That's when it starts to work.
Hi, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von Turing, and I'm here with Lance Hepler.
Lance Romance right here in studio. Finally kicked those dumb kids out, and I'm back in my own seat.
Them pesky kids.
Those pesky kids.
It's the worst.
Speaking of which,
I already missed them. They were so much nicer than you.
They are nice, but you've done new intros for how many podcasts are we at? What number are we on now? 150? Like
132.
It's a lot of intros.
Yes,
those pesky kids.
He had the whole Scooby-Doo
the
intro
whole
last
Scooby-Doo
week.
theme.
It was awesome. All those
It was good.
Scooby-Doo. Yeah,
That was a fun one. Yep.
It was good.
Those are fun, but they can sometimes be a little bit laboring to get finished because you're just like kind of
we
stuck.
appreciate it, Jake.
It's all fun, though. It's all good times. To his right, Evan Price.
We are still on the Spindrift.
LaCroix.
Drinking right now. LaCroix? Okay. I'm over here. Ooh, Lance is opening up a Limone Spindrift.
I'm on Polar Cranberry Lime.
Classic.
Cranberry Lime.
So Evan and Lance were sponsored by Randy.
Randy
Frost.
Thanks, Randy.
Yep.
Thank you, Randy. And Jake is sipping on a Limone LaCroix, right?
Limoncello.
Limoncello.
What does limoncello mean? No one knows.
Nobody knows. Nobody actually knows.
Performance enhancing.
Does it taste like
Grapefruit. It means grapefruit.
Does it taste like grapes, right? Okay.
And to Evan's right, Matt Legrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking good. You're looking good. The stash is slimmer.
It has been trimmed.
It's slimmer than she used to be.
I just woke up
She used
one
to have
morning.
Baby used to have back.
I used to have big long curls.
That girl had some curls, and I mean, she had like some.
If you would have won your mountain bike race, would you have let it stay, or was it as you don't want to race, you're just going to slowly clip it?
It was pre-mountain.
Oh, so it was for aerodynamics.
Okay, I did a gravel
gotcha.
race. It was pre-gravel race. I'm like, I need to trim this thing, and then we were at a teammate's house yesterday, and his 11-year-old daughter, 12-year-old daughter, was like, "You look like a detective."
Right?
From like the 20s.
I need a toothpick and a pair of Ray-Bans.
A pair of Ray-Bans.
Aviators, yep.
A pair of aviators.
Southern California.
And I'm going to find out what you did wrong, mister.
It's
summer.
It's a thick story.
It's a thick story.
You're going to have to go long and deep on it.
And this has been Mustache Talk.
Speaking of, Evan's sporting a stash, too.
I am. I need to clean up the around area. It's been growing faster, but I believe I think I'm almost to the thickness that Lance's is at. The length, it's not
Mine's
close
pretty
yet.
bushy.
This is
thick.
I've had to chop around the lips because it keeps on wanting to curl around, and I'm not trying to.
Takes a little bit of trim every morning.
Oh my god! I'm like once every 2 weeks. It gets very unruly.
How about some backpedaling? Matt LeGrand.
Sure.
Backpedal for us.
I don't know. I think it's one of those weeks. I feel like this happens to Evan all the time where I'll ride like 7 days. I rode 7 days in a row this past week. Great,
boy.
right?
I did not ride 7 days
No,
in a row.
but here's the thing. Like, I don't have a story to tell. There's, like,
there you go.
like,
We could definitely relate
right?
to that.
It's super uninteresting. Oh, yeah. Rode in France on Zwift.
On Swift, yeah.
How many times did you ride outside?
I don't know.
7 days.
I don't know. Maybe 3 or 4.
That's pretty good.
Not bad. It was great. Like, I love riding my new bike. It's so nice.
Yeah.
And I did lots of like hour rides, and I would go find someplace new each time and just cruise through neighborhoods. And it was just, the weather's been great.
Yeah.
It has been awesome to be on your bike outside.
That's awesome.
That being said, I rode indoors quite a few times as well. Been watching the tour while riding, which has been an easy way to pass an hour. And those rides are pretty chill. And yeah, and then I've swam a couple times, and I think I only ran once this week, just trying to get the Achilles to come back around.
That's a triathlon week right there, though.
Matt's
Matt's on the comeback train
good.
right now.
I'm sure I hit about 10 hours. So.
Yeah.
And done.
Boom.
And
Good.
bum.
Boom.
Move on.
Evan Price.
I actually have a
Backpedal.
slightly
You
more
do.
exciting backpedal because it's not just like Saturday I sat on Zwift and did
6 hours.
repeats up Alp to Zwift. It's this climb on Zwift, in case you were wondering. Yeah. So okay, I have somewhat more interesting than that. We Cassie and I have a very good friend who used to be a roommate of ours, who moved up to Bellingham, and she got a new puppy recently, and this dog is so cute. Oh my god. His name is Scout, and he is just as cute as you're picturing. He's like this little blue heeler mix, and he always wears a bow tie whenever he goes around. He's my new little buddy. He bites me all the time, like all the time. He's teething now, so he will bite us. But Cassie and I found, so they moved up and they live like in the woods off of Lake Whatcom, basically.
Oh, cool.
Like in the woods in Bellingham, basically. And it is our coolest little like COVID training spot right now because we don't have to be exposed to anybody when we go out there except for Kat and her fiance. And we just like hang up there, do a little 2-day training camp, and then come back. And you know, since Cassie and I we can't really get a lot of vacation time right now, it's awesome to go up there. So I was originally going to do a small little triathlon race. That kind of got canceled last second. It was going to be like a couple people doing it. So I just made a training camp out of it. And I'm doing my ride around Lake Whatcom, which I've done a couple times there. Anybody's been up around Bellingham, that is a beautiful lake.
Beautiful.
You could just do laps around Lake Whatcom and just...
Yes.
I could never leave that road and be absolutely fine with it. It's gorgeous. And I'm riding this time, and I pass this road called Iowa Heights. And you know when you look at a road that like shoots off to the right when you're going around a lake and it goes up into those back neighborhoods usually, and you're like, that looks really steep. Like really steep. And in my head, I'm like, I bet there's a KOM segment up there. Like, I'm sure somebody has done it. Like, somebody's done that. So, on the way back on Saturday from my ride, I'm like, I'm going to give this thing a shot. Just one, like, all-out effort. I don't have KOM tracker on my thing. So, anytime you see me go after a KOM, that is my max effort. I'm never, like, pacing the effort. I'm never, like...
just like, let's go.
Yeah, I'm
as
never,
hard
like,
as I
watching
can.
the seconds tick down on a gap or anything like that. I'm just going
You
for
are
it.
paying for Strava, though.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
so
I am.
You should get that added to your... 'cause
I'm
you have the
getting
820.
a computer here soon.
A new one? Okay.
I-
Because it should
we're-
work on your
We're
current
gonna talk about
820.
that soon. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it soon though because I need to buy a new bike computer. But anyway,
I know a guy.
before I go too far, I know
a guy who knows
I know
a guy.
2 tech guys right here. I need to pick their brains incessantly.
Sure.
So I'm 10 seconds off the KOM when I get back home. I decide I'm like, okay, so let's look at the list and see everybody there. Everybody there is a faster bike rider than me on this list. There's only like 30 guys who have ever tried to go up this road. Like Jack Barty's on the list. There's a couple other guys that are really, really fast riders from that.
Kieran
Conti Pros,
Crosby.
right?
Yeah. A couple guys who are now Conti Pros. Kieran has not done it. I almost wanted to send him a message and be like, go all out.
do this.
Yeah, go all out at Iowa Heights. So the next day, I have a plan to do a big, 3K swim, 80-mile bike ride, and 10 really hilly trail strength type running mile runs. So I'm like, what's a great idea is in Ironman training is to do an absolute all-out 4-minute effort just in the middle of your ride. I don't know if that's a good training plan. Kind of scrap the training plan right now.
It's a training plan right now. Just go have fun.
I literally went and just I was like, I'm just going to ride hard all day for fun and just see. And so halfway through the ride, I ride by Iowa Heights again. I'm like, oh, we're doing this. We're chugging this Red Bull and we're dropping bottles. Drop the bottles at a sign. Down a Red Bull. I'm not even sure if it can hit my system by the time I get to the climb, basically.
Right.
This thing starts out at just like just pure like 20% gradient on really crappy road, like really like loose, rocky kind of potholey road. Today I was telling Jake, and I should never be complaining to Jake about tendon pain, but I'm like, I literally think I actually pulled my bicep getting up this thing. I was just like yanking the front wheel up and out. Got up it, ended up getting the KOM by 10 seconds.
Wow.
Thank God the guy who used to held it is now in Montana.
Okay, so
I'm like, oh, thank God.
He's
not
gone
going
away.
after it. He's not
You got a
going
little
after
time.
it again.
You got a little time till he comes back.
But
for
now
it.
Kieran's gonna go. Get
I know. So I need Kieran to go and try and get that from me. I'm pretty confident about the. I went pretty into the red for that effort, so I'm confident with
You
where it's
don't
sitting
have a
at.
power meter on that bike, right?
No,
Okay.
no, I have no clue. We'll say it was
Let's
7. We'll say 700 watts for.
Yeah,
4
we'll say 1,000.
1,000. Let's just call it even 1,000. Okay. But yeah, that was basically it. And then this morning on Trash Legs, did a track workout that went fine. So
Good times.
I know if I could swim, I'd be like an actual.
Swimming is not looking good in our future.
No, it's gonna
Okay.
be a lot of.
Are they shutting the pools back down or just restricting it again?
I don't think the pool that I go to is doing great. They're going to have to they're looking at like changing their business model and things like that. And so
$100 a class.
It seriously is kind of like they're going for like maybe this kind of premium style setup. And so, I might have to get back out in the lake more. I don't know.
We're just going to have to become actual fish.
The lake is back open at Fallen Leaf. So you can stand up paddleboard and I'll swim next to you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I'm in.
I'd actually be fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be our thing now. Is Jake will be our lane line.
Yes. You can like record us too.
Yeah.
Put some
I'd be all about that. Yeah.
That'd be great.
That sounds way more fun than a pool. To be completely honest, that sounds way more fun. So I'm all
Well,
for
we
that.
should take advantage of it while we can. It's starting to feel like fall here.
It's getting there. It's. I think this
chillier.
next week it's going to be super hot, and then I have a feeling we're going to have like a drop in temperature once we hit the middle of September.
We're supposed to have a week of 90s.
90s is coming up.
It's supposed to be nice.
Hey, quick question for you.
Yes.
A quick tangent here. So, paddleboard or SUP? Can you call it one or the other?
Oh
or?
yeah, that's a good question.
SUP, stand up paddleboard. You can call it whatever you want to.
So, if I were to just tell you, hey, do you want to go SUP with me? You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking
and that's
about.
perfectly acceptable?
Oh, yeah.
I took so much crap from my family. Why do you call it SUP, Dad? my wife even.
That's what I
Why do
hear
you call it SUP?
everybody
It's
call
paddleboarding.
No, I think the newer terminology is SUP.
Yeah.
And that's like the thing that more and more people are calling it.
Yeah.
Like SUP racing.
Yep.
All this stuff where it's abbreviated, it's shortened, and it's just like almost becoming the standard. For me, I probably am just too old, and that's why I'm calling it stand-up paddleboard all the time. But like, I think that
They call it paddleboarding, and they give me
know.
all kinds of grief about calling it supping.
I think I don't.
Paddleboarding to me could be like
Yeah,
you're also
you
sitting
could be
on
sitting
it. Maybe.
with a paddle. This is
So
stand-up
it's just
paddle.
a subset. It's like SUP is just a subsection of paddleboarding, right?
It rolls off your tongue so much
Yeah.
faster. Just
Sup.
sup. Go sup.
Sup.
Yeah.
Instead of stand-up paddleboarding.
Would you like to go stand?
Which is what I
paddleboarding?
do. I just I don't abbreviate it.
Yeah.
I just keep it long. So,
No.
All right. Well,
You're just not with it.
but
Matt.
I see everyone.
Time efficiency, Matt.
When
You
I
can save
see
yourself
people
3 seconds there.
when, but then we have to explain it on the podcast. That takes time.
It's 90 seconds.
Office episode.
Yep.
Where Kevin decides that he's going to drop.
Yes.
Oh God. He drops like half of his words or whatever.
Yeah,
Just
he's like saving time here, people.
saving time. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's when they were they had the paper go out with the imprint of like something phallic or something or whatever,
Yes.
and then it was like
Yes.
emergency. How are we going to handle this? They're in an emergency meeting. Anyway,
Everybody,
go watch The Office.
Go watch The Office, everybody.
you go.
Yeah, get back to us on that.
cool. All right, let's move on. Lance Epler, backpedal.
I did some stuff this week. I rode my bike a fair amount.
Did you?
And I
You're
did.
not one to ride the old bike.
Well, I did about 14 hours actually. I think
okay.
this week.
That's mild for you.
A couple of fun rides. We kind of had a team ride on Wednesday, but there were only 5 of us that showed up. We were trying to keep the
Numbers down.
small.
Did you guys do like the lake loops?
We did. No, we didn't do lake
Okay.
loops. We did the dialed cycling route that goes up to Hawkinson and back.
Was there a group that did do lake loops? Which
I don't
is that
think
supposed to be
so.
Wednesday nights?
That's supposed
We
to be
were doing them on
Wednesday night.
Thursday nights, but I wasn't here to
Okay.
set that up, yeah.
Yeah, so me and Jake and Ian Gibson and Brian Floyd and
Chino.
Yep. Yeah, all came out.
I saw a group on Wednesday night with a group of dial people, and I was at the Hammond eating dinner with my wife, and a group of dial people like went up Lake Road, and I was like, I don't know. They were going up the hill. So that's
What night was this?
Wednesday night.
That was probably us.
That was us.
That's probably you guys.
Yeah,
And my wife's like, you probably would rather be hanging out with those guys.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not, honey. I'm here with you.
This is our anniversary dinner. It's like, no.
So even more yes.
Yeah.
Because this is now more expensive of a dinner.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Happy
nice
anniversary,
dinner.
by the way. What was it, 15?
14 years.
14 years?
23 years? Oh.
Yeah, it feels like a long time when you're married to me. So
This is more of a celebration of your wonderful wife's patience and
it is.
and her sageness, I think.
Yeah, it takes a,
You almost
takes
saw
something.
Lance there. That's right where Lance peeled off and
I
hit it
peeled
home.
off right there.
Did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was done.
Should have come over.
I should have
I'd given you some of our food.
I could have
Here's
used
some,
it.
here's
She
some
would love that
scraps.
as Lance
I
comes over and
was-
grabs fries.
I was ruined
Were you?
at that point.
was a fun
This
ride.
was like my last. I actually did a race this week. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But this ride, the loop is about 30 miles, and we flogged each other for 30 miles.
That's a good group.
I should say Jake flogged us for 30 miles.
Fitness is coming around, Jake.
Yeah,
Sneaky
it
fitness.
is,
It's
man.
this
He is
creeping in
super
fitness.
strong.
Yeah.
We amongst the five of us, we got several top tens and a couple. You got a couple KOMs, didn't you, that day?
I think so.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Yeah, we
Got the
were-
Mortal Kombat KOM.
Yeah,
That
it's-
sounds cool.
It's an Mortal Kombat. So
This is why I have to go for KOMs that you guys don't live anywhere near, so I don't have to worry about a group of 70 you going out and trashing anything
well,
that I've done.
Just go uphill and
that
you'll be
one-
fine.
Jake got it on his own. It was he did not have one single
Mortal Kombat
second
one's
of
a
help.
long KOM, isn't
It's
it?
long,
Yeah.
and it was me and Ian trying to chase him down and could not. He pulled away from us. Me and Ian are working together to try to catch Jake, and we didn't.
That's not even the one that I wanted, though. The one that I wanted, I only want to go get it because I know he would tell me to go get it. It was the long crawl to Hawkinson, and that's
North-
held
North
by our,
Crawl-
Mike has that one, doesn't he?
North Crawl to
Yeah.
Hawkinson.
yeah. So our good friend and no longer with us, Michael Myers, has that KOM,
Yep.
and that was always one that he would go out there and hammer himself on. And we went out 3 weeks ago,
I think so.
and I was riding off the front of the group, and I was watching that segment. I'm like, okay, I think I can get this. But I decided that halfway through that I needed to sit up because there was another gentleman who was riding with us
And we were losing
completely dropped him on
Yeah,
that.
we
I'm like,
just-
I didn't want to be that guy. But I'm like, I'm going to go back for this. And I told Lance before this ride, hey, I'm going to go for this segment. And Lance's like, oh, I'll lead you out. I'm like, nope, no lead outs.
I
This
was
is good.
offering to lead him out.
yeah.
I'm like, this has to be a solo effort because I don't want to take something from Michael without it being
We need
100% on my own accord.
Yeah.
So.
We need to make that almost like a rule on Mike, because Mike, I think, still holds the hustle KOM, I think.
I think so.
I think that's him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we were talking about this. I think if anybody wants to go out, like any
gotta
of
do it
his
by
KOMs,
yourself.
yeah, you got to go solo, which means nobody's getting his KOM. So that's,
Well, it's like 5 miles long or something, isn't it? 4 miles long.
About that, yeah. It's
a Mike Myers.
It's
sweet
about a
spot.
10 or 10 and a half minute segment. It's a decent little chunk. So maybe a little bit shorter than that, but it's just a nice gradual
370.
upgrade. And yeah, it's
3 miles,
I think
70.
he has like one up to Lucia Falls too. That's like super long, and he
Possibly,
just
yeah.
killed. Yeah.
so anyway, that was a fun ride.
That was a fun ride. We just beat each other up incessantly, and it was a good time.
What else you got?
Race time.
So there was a race this Saturday, the Oregon Coast Gravel Epic. This was a mudslinger event put on by Mike Ripley. Again, he changed it to this has been a traditional gravel race, usually in April, that Mike Ripley moved to September.
Was this
or
the
end of
Oregon Gravel
August.
Grinder before, or is this?
Nope, this
oh,
is
okay,
a,
never mind.
that's a
Okay.
different promotion, different
race,
promoter.
okay.
Yeah, so that's a Chad Sperry
Breakaway
Okay.
Promotions.
Breakaway
Yeah.
Promotions.
Yep.
This is Mike Ripley.
Ripley, yeah.
Mudslinger events.
Mike's the one who's been putting on all the time trials, right?
He has. He's changed all of his races to time trial format with the remote start and a remote finish. So there's no
Congregation of anything. Yeah.
you're never around
Mike
anybody.
is single-handedly saving bike racing in
He's
Oregon
the
this
only
year.
one putting
Literally
on races.
the only one.
Yeah, in Oregon. Yeah. So this race normally has several hundred people in it. This year they only had about 100 show up. It's a 60-mile course with 7,200 feet of climbing.
Oh my god.
So is that 60 miles? Was that the whole time segment, or was it
No.
a smaller chunk of that?
The timed segment was 45 miles.
Gotcha.
So you rode 5 miles in to where the remote start was. You crossed the timing mat, and a guy said, "Oh, you're Lance Hepler, and you're doing the 60-miler, and as soon as you cross the next mat, your time starts because you have a timing chip." And
has he raised prices because of all the logistical changes?
No.
I'm wondering if he
Good for him.
I wonder if they should though. Like raise. I mean, a lot of these
costs have definitely gone up,
and the numbers are down.
And the numbers are down. So I think this is a wash year for him.
I would like them to see. I would like to see them raise some prices to make it sustainable.
Yep.
Because we need to keep bike racing. Like when COVID is all done, which whenever that happens, like
Well, for somebody like Mike too,
organizations.
that's his livelihood.
It is his
That
job.
That
right?
is his job. That's how he puts food on the table for his family.
Yeah.
So for him to be able to still continue to make this happen,
Is he going to put on races during the fall?
There's two more races on the calendar, and there's potentially a third one that doesn't have clearance from the city yet.
These courses, could I bring a cross bike and race it?
Yeah.
Just fine?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. I think if he has
Well,
anything in October,
one's a
I'll
mountain
go.
bike race. Your cross bike will not work unless you're Carl Decker.
Could I give it a shot? Just I don't need to win. I just need to finish and give him money is all I want.
But there is a gravel race
Okay.
September 12th, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So there is another gravel race he's putting
Okay.
on.
Yeah.
So this one, the 45-mile section, and then the finish line was remote as well. So when you crossed the finish
Right.
line, you still had 10 miles before you got back to the start, but you could chill on the start. You had to wear a mask. Picking up your packet, you had to. Anytime you were passing somebody, you had to wear a mask.
Mask buff works fine.
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
Gotcha.
I was. Yeah, some were wearing masks, but I just used a buff, and
Gotcha.
that was perfectly fine. The hilarious thing was, Mike Ripley gave me plate number 1.
I think I saw that in a picture.
I was the. I had the pressure plate on.
Yep.
So, and when he put out the start list, I'm like, why did he give me the first plate? There's like 15 faster people than me. Why did you give this to me? So when I went and picked up the plate, I'm like, Mike, why did you give this to me? He's like, because you have the number 1 stash in the Pacific Northwest.
That's awesome. That is.
I was gonna say it's got to be something.
He was just having fun.
I hope he
with me.
listens to the podcast and like,
Yes.
especially part to thinking about like, okay, prices. What do we do?
Right.
And mustaches.
I
also.
think most people would be willing to pay a little bit more just to
'Cause-
make sure these
'cause
races keep happening.
$10 extra seems like a lot on a race fee like
Yeah.
that, but
But it makes a
also
difference to him.
seems, but it's also seems very reasonable.
But compared to what Iron Man, charges for a race,
right.
oh,
Yeah.
that's incredibly
Yeah,
affordable.
Iron Man's like $795.
Yeah.
Just throw
Right.
that reference out there
your
for
first child. Yeah,
yeah,
your
it's
grave.
stupid expensive.
So the race ended up going really well for me. I am completely wasting my fitness on this year because I'm like really fit right now
Yeah.
and there's hardly any racing happening.
Well, Evan, I feel like you're really fit too.
No such thing as wasted fitness. No such thing. Next year, you will be going out there guns blazing with a year under your belt of developed fitness that takes a year.
That's if I can hold on to it. So the idea is to
matter.
hold on to it.
You've set a salt threshold. Even if you dip down a bit, it will come back stronger because you set a good plate for a year.
If it makes you feel better, I got you covered on
Okay.
this.
We can compare approaches.
Compare approaches for sure.
There were about 100 people in the race. I did end up taking 7th overall.
Wow.
So
Nice
I
work.
was like, normally in a race like this, I would be top 30.
Yeah.
So
You could take your number 1 and just adjust it to a 7.
do a 7.
Just lengthen it out
That's
a little
right.
bit. Be
No
like,
problem.
You guessed it right.
But I was super
Finished on your plate.
happy with that. And, the thing about this, a lot of the course was fantastic. There were 4 major climbs, and all the climbs were about 4 miles long.
Ooh.
So there was some serious climbing and some descending, and well, I just had a great time. I had a teammate out there with me. Chris Surratt was with me. Obviously, we couldn't race together because there was actually a drafting rule. You couldn't draft.
yeah.
Not that anybody was checking, but you want to be.
Yeah.
So
On a course like that too, you probably wouldn't even you'd want to just
Well,
be dropping people if you were
actually,
getting by.
Chris and I had hoped that we would hook up on the course and could ride next to each other, not in front or behind, so we
Yeah.
could just kind of be with somebody while we were riding. But I started 2 minutes ahead of Chris, and He never caught me.
Chris never brought him in. Oh, he's calling you out, Chris. What are you going to do, Chris? You're gonna reel in your 2-minute man next time?
I did get passed by the
Let's see
eventual
September
winner.
12th if Chris is going to reel you in this next time.
So the race ended up being a great day for me. I really enjoyed it, and that's enough backpedaling for me.
Yay bikes.
Yay bikes.
Yay, bikes.
Yay bikes.
Jake slept on the floor this weekend.
I slept on the ground, not the floor.
The floor, yeah, that wasn't
Ground.
the floor. It was the hard ground.
Yeah, I took a day off. Well, actually, a day and a half off of work, and we went camping out at Timothy Lake, up there in the Mount Hood National Forest area, which was absolutely gorgeous. Another stunningly beautiful campground,
Beautiful place.
adventure. I thought somewhere in the back of my head that I could take my computer and I could take my phone and maybe try and get a little bit of like work done remotely, like everybody does in this day and age. Get out there. Yeah.
There's no signal on the
At
east side
least
of Mount Hood.
The next closest signal was about 20 miles away. So, yeah, for those people that were trying to get in touch with me, I'm sorry. There were a couple of them. But, yeah, it happens.
They'll survive. It's okay.
But that was awesome. Another fun camping trip with the family, and did a bunch of stand-up paddleboarding and fishing. And
stand-up supping.
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 Sorry, I'm
a little-
chastised so many
Just
times.
did a little supping.
Sup it up.
Just sup
Sup it up.
Yeah. And then got a couple rides in. What are we on? Day 13 today. I'm still.
You're still
13.
going?
Today's day 13. Still going.
You're still good?
I got my ride in this morning
Me too.
already.
I'm in.
So
we're 13.
I'm at 13.
I'll be at 13.
These guys
later
are only
today.
at 12. We're way better than these guys.
We are winning.
Oh no, I think I'm out of the running already.
You're
If,
out?
Did you
if
really?
you've missed a
I
day,
think
you're
so.
out.
Are we doing the triathlon version of this too?
No.
Or was that okay? No, well,
it's
then
bike
I'm
ride.
out. I'm sorry.
This is it's a triathlon podcast.
Not a triathlon podcast.
I think I missed it on last Thursday. Then
Okay, well, you can make up your own little triathlon version if you want
what
to.
what if I do a 2-hour ride the day after? Do we get? Is there
Look,
any
nope.
retroactive?
I did a
There's
4-hour
nothing. I'm
ride,
already
and I
out.
only counted it as one ride.
One ride.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I'm out. I have lost the
Key,
challenge.
I think the key is 1 hour.
1
do your
hour.
1 hour. Don't do 4 hours. Do your 1 hour. Don't push yourself. 50 watts or under.
I
be
did
super careful.
I did a ride this morning, an hour ride, and I averaged like 300 watts for the ride because I was trying to do.
You're playing along
I
with
think-
the tour.
Yeah,
I think,
it was.
I think I averaged like 110 watts on my ride this morning. I'm pretty sure
I went very
Yeah.
hard this morning. Go figure.
3 times as much.
'Cause I'm an idiot.
Tour. The tour got you pumped.
I know. I was all fired up.
So the Dow 100 is going well. It's alive and strong, and I will get my ride in later today. But did that fun little small team ride. We Lance and I did a ride yesterday. Went out to visit Dr. Handel.
We did.
Ooh, how's Handel doing?
He's
He's hurting. Dude, I am so sorry.
We haven't talked about this. I don't know if he wants us to,
Yeah, he got a little boo-boo.
but
and
he had an injury.
Yep.
And
Okay.
so we went out to visit him
Did
to
him.
make sure he was
Yep, him and his
lift his spirits.
little farm of circus animals out there.
He has a 12-year-old daughter. She is adorable.
Oh, yeah.
We showed up and she was hugging a chicken.
And Chris was telling us that the chicken like takes naps on her and sleeps. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Full on.
And
Panther was the chicken's name.
Panther was
Yep.
the chicken's name.
Great name for a chicken.
Yep.
Pretty soon, a rat came out and was sitting on Handel's shoulder.
Buddy the rat.
Buddy the rat.
Just sitting there cleaning himself and just chilling.
Is Handel like secretly Beastmaster?
No, it's his kids.
Jack Hanna is Jack
Beastmaster-
Hannell, dude.
If the Beastmaster,
Beastmaster.
has kids, then
You can send the hawk in the air and you can see what the hawk sees while it's hawk's flying.
Beastmaster.
I've seen the Beastmaster.
well,
Yeah.
that's a
And a
very
ferret.
old movie.
I've seen Beastmaster.
Have you?
I did.
How could you? I'm thinking that's like
I'm
early
pretty sure I saw
80s.
it. I'm pretty sure I
I
saw it on
think it is.
VHS. To be honest.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
quite old.
They have a crow who they have adopted named Douglas.
How do you
flies
adopt
in.
a crow?
He flies down there, and the daughter was feeding him tortillas. And he comes down, and he gets the tortilla, and he just goes right up on the fence or the house next door or the roof and just sits there and caws at them while he eats his tortilla. And she talks to him, he talks back, and
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
And
that
they had-
happened.
They had a bearded dragon.
Yes.
As well. I'm not
Beastmaster.
kidding.
Dr.
It
Handel
was
may be
a
the
zoo.
coolest person I've ever heard.
It was fantastic.
He's Jack Hanna.
I still haven't
Jack
gotten over
Hannell,
that he
dude.
has a pet rat.
Come on.
Well, it's his daughter's rat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Still.
There.
But
I
is
know.
it?
Oh, it's fine.
But
Beastmaster.
it sat there on Chris's
Oh, in that
shoulder.
case.
We had this whole conversation.
still
and the
Beastmaster.
rat, he's like sitting. it not his
Oh my gosh.
But the best part was we got snow cones.
We got snow cones.
They had snow cones?
The
That's
daughter
awesome.
made us snow cones.
cones, yep.
That was our
And,
mid-ride.
and you guys were
snack.
afternoon riding, right?
Yeah, I think I'll be going back there later today to get another snow cone. That was pretty good.
Because like when it's nice and warm like that, snow cone, yeah, absolutely.
This week it's gonna be like 90 degrees too.
Yeah. So
It was nice.
that was my week. A good one. Getting ready to start another
Hours were decent.
Yeah, I think I got
10.
I just it was like a couple minutes shy of 10 hours.
Yeah,
And
Does that bother you like deep down when you're like,
Just under.
a little bit.
yeah, I
A
know.
little bit.
It's
But
like
yesterday,
9:56, you're
I
like,
thought
it's not
about.
10.
Seriously, I thought about going out riding for another 10 minutes. But then I was also thinking about. I'm a little bit, not a little bit. I'm a lot of bit late getting home, so I should probably just go home because it was my turn to make dinner.
Is that 10 minutes worth?
Oh, I got it. I got in all sorts of trouble when I got home.
Yeah.
I've gone way too
So,
long.
but we'll call
Yesterday.
it. We'll round up. We'll call it 10 hours. But I got in about 6 hours on the supboard.
Nice.
Up, boy.
That's 16 hours right there.
That was my shoulder.
That's a lot.
Nice on the
That's a
left
lot of time on the board. So mostly Lacamas Lake or
No, it was Timothy Lake.
Timothy Lake.
Yeah.
You're
We
like
just-
5
so you
miles
spent a
one
lot of
day.
time there. Okay.
I was the trolling motor for my kids. I had both of my kids sitting on the front of my
Yep.
supboard, and
when they put their legs in, it's a lot of drag.
no, I made them sit crisscross.
Like get the legs.
One kid had one pull out one side, the other one had it out the other side. And we trolled around all over the place, and then
That's a big lake.
we then went for a long adventure with my wife, and I had a pole going out on that one, trolling, caught a fish, which was fun. Like, hey, I caught a fish on the supboard. That's awesome. So
Did you ride in like the local lakes here or just Timothy Lake?
that was just Timothy Lake, but the Sunday before that,
Okay.
like within a week's time period, there was
Your
another
Sunday day
hour.
night over at
You're still getting a lot of riding in. That's good.
Yep, and we did a family ride out there at Timothy Lake, which was pretty fun.
We need
too,
to do a
so.
little triathlon team weekend at Timothy Lake. That'd be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I would
that'd
for
be
sure
great.
bring a hammock and just sleep there overnight.
Cool.
It'd be a blast.
Hey, Champ Bailey.
Champ Bailey.
here, Champ?
Where could he be?
Where's Champ Bailey?
We should have so much.
Champ Bailey here. I'm Champ Bailey.
He's got stuff to talk
I
about.
got stuff to
We have
talk
so
about.
much stuff to actually. This is such a dichotomy from 3 weeks ago. We were like, I don't know, there was a UFC fight in like an island somewhere. I got no idea. That was a Swift race.
We're in hog heaven right now, aren't we?
Yes, the Tour de France has started. It is a miracle that the Tour de France
Yes.
actually started. I also believe it will be a miracle
If it ends.
finishes.
Yeah.
If it actually makes
But
it to
it-
the
But
finish.
we are here for the ride the entire way.
It looks good. It looks like things are going well.
So far, so good.
All
knock
the
on
riders
wood.
are wearing their masks like this when they're supposed to be wearing their, when they're
Oh, yeah.
getting interviewed, their masks are like hanging off their
Hanging off
chin.
Yeah, the interviewers up there without a mask. But you know what?
There-
It's just bubble them all together. Just you make it a moving caravan bubble.
A massive amount of rules that
They're trying.
promoters have put on
Yes.
to keep the bubble safe. They have to be tested twice during the course of the race.
They were tested right before the race.
Tested right before. They had to pass 2 tests before
Yep.
they could actually enter the
There's
bubble of the
very
race.
strict rules on not the the riders, yes, but it's everything around the tour that
Correct.
has very, very strict rules
Correct.
right now.
Also, Europe is doing a lot better than the U.S.
Yes, but they're spiking as well.
Are they spiking?
As
Yeah.
things
France.
have relaxed.
We're
France.
dipping and they're spiking.
yeah.
So take that,
I think,
Europe.
I think we're just trading turns. I think it's just going to do one of these where
Oh,
it's
boy.
up, down, up, down, up, down. You know,
Oh man.
So one of the craziest
do the Tour of
rules
France in America.
is
Yeah, do it here, guys.
bring it on over.
Vancouver, Washington. Think about it.
One of the craziest rules with the tour is if a team has 2 positive tests within a
2
week,
strike rule. Yep.
not team member, not just riders, but
Staff.
also team members. So teams could only bring 30 people, including riders, staff, directors, all that stuff. If 2 of those people test positive within a week's time, the whole team is kicked out.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, inconspicuously on Ineos, 2 of their Sauniers just went disappearing. That's strange. No, I just made that up.
So,
Were they named Thomas and Froome?
so I have a question.
Nobody's seen him. It's
The
real weird.
peloton looks smaller this year.
Well, it's 8 riders
Yeah.
per
Okay.
team instead of 9.
Same number of teams?
I believe it's the same number of teams.
Okay.
Was it 150 team
Yeah.
or
Instead
riders?
of like
Instead of
150.
And then
175
staff
last year,
is
yeah.
smaller.
Staff is smaller. They could only bring 30 people instead of.
That's still a lot.
I don't think there was a limit
But
on
is
it
that
before.
30 plus the 8 riders, or is 8
No,
riders
no.
part of the
8 is part of the
30? Okay.
Yeah.
And then I wonder if the whole, because like one of the things that you don't see on television is the parade, which is massive,
Yes.
that goes through and like throws out
Yes.
candy and junk and
Which
all
we
kinds
will
of stuff.
be talking about here in a minute.
We
will be. Yes. There's
The other thing, they're asking fans not to come.
So do
So
they
people-
not have the parade thing?
No, they still have.
No,
the
they
parade
still
thing.
have the parade.
The
Because
stupidest
the
thing ever.
Well,
the
because
sponsors want to show off or something.
well,
I don't know.
fans
That's where they get
still
the money.
come.
Yes.
They're just not like 5 people thick.
Yeah.
And they've told the fans they have to be wearing masks, and you cannot get within 2 meters of a rider. So,
Which they cannot enforce.
we will see how that looks once we're climbing. So
but,
we'll see.
But
Yeah.
many more policemen or gendarmes, I don't know how you call them in French.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more policing of the course.
Right. Okay.
So that they're trying to keep fewer people from coming to the course. So they're working on all of that.
I think
It's the tour. It's always a circus.
okay. We
it's
should
just a circus
we could
by
take bets
nature.
on like. Do we think they're gonna make it 3 weeks? I think they might.
I think they're
might.
going to make
I
it
think they're
all the
gonna
way
make it-
through. The reason I think they're going to make it all the way through is this is professional cycling's only way
Yeah.
to stay alive this year. They are going to do everything in their political power and within France to keep
I could
this
definitely
going.
see a team going home.
Yes,
But
they-
that would be
they will
really
send a team
controversial
home.
if you had like a.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like Sunweb or something like that, they might be like, "Yeah, send these guys."
Like, oh,
but
wait,
if it's,
Tom's on
but
the
if it's
team anymore? No, you
Ineos,
guys are good.
Ineos, they're not going to send those.
Yeah,
guys
Jumbo
home.
Visma and Ineos. No,
Right, like, you
that's going
want-
to get real quiet.
If-
That's going to get real
Real quietly. See you later.
if France starts to spike in cases, the government could say,
Yeah,
no,
that's
you're
true.
done. Shut it down. So
Well,
that
and
could happen.
That could be completely unrelated to the tour. Also,
Could be.
It could be.
So, man,
Because let's be honest, cyclists by nature are incredibly antisocial.
Jake, what do you think?
So
Do you
we know
think-
that it's not their fault.
Do you think it'll make it 3 weeks?
Yes.
That's
I'm with
what I
Jake.
think, too.
I'm
Yeah.
optimistic on this. I think yes.
Okay.
I just hope yes.
Stage 1
Yes.
in Nice
Yeah.
was a
Nice to Nice.
crap show. How do I say that?
Yeah.
Yes.
But do you
It
guys
was a
feel like?
mess.
Do you feel like every single time, like that first day, like everyone, there's lots of issues, lots of mechanicals, lots of crashes. Like,
Okay, so here's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've
Oh.
talked about this a little bit.
This is going to be
And
Conspiracy
for-
Theory Monday.
Oh,
Okay. This is
okay.
gonna be-
for all our listeners, we realize it's Wednesday, and there's already been 5 stages by the time you listen to this, but we've only seen 3 stages.
That's what
to
we've
this
seen,
Point.
yeah.
That's what we've seen.
Oh,
Sta-
and we should do a. We're going to talk about those 3 stages, and if you don't want to know about it, if you're going back for some
yeah.
reason,
Stop listening now.
pause the podcast.
Yeah.
skip forward 40 minutes.
Yeah. Also, how could
40
you
minutes.
possibly not get spoilers in today's social media environment? Like,
Yeah, that's
like
true.
I knew that. I knew who won stage 2
Right.
before I even like had time to look at my
To
phone and be
watch
like, oh,
it.
let's go and take
I
a peek
had
at that.
this jackass sending me text messages.
Evan Price. Yeah.
Evan was in our private chat group.
Matt's response to me was my favorite
Shut
by
up.
far. He's like, "Really, Evan? Really? You're gonna do this right now?"
I haven't watched the stage yet. Punch to face.
I was trying to like live stream it to you all.
That was great.
So stage 1, they leave
Yes.
Nice. A torrential rainstorm hits. It hasn't rained in Nice in a couple of months.
Yep.
And so there were major crashes. They estimated about 60 riders hit the deck.
Oh.
It's like a third, a little over a
Third
third
of
of the
the
field.
There's
Peloton.
also like olive oil, like from olive trees.
So
That was
what?
scraped across the roads.
It's like not ideal.
So what they're saying is, because it hasn't rained in so long, you've
Yeah.
got all these Ferraris and Porsches whipping up the streets up and down.
South
the-
South France,
South
Nice is a
France,
very
this
rich
is
area.
Monaco
yes.
and Nice.
this
Yep.
is as
Yeah.
rich as it gets.
And so, the roads were oily enough that it was causing some crashes. However, Evan,
That was not the primary cause
That
of
was
the
not the
crashes.
primary
Here's
cause,
some
what we think.
insider info right here. I got this from George Hancappy. I'm not going to pretend like I talked to anybody about this. So there is I'm going to call it the soap sponsor because George on the Move podcast did not name the soap sponsor because he actually has people that listen to him. I do not, on the other hand. So
They have millions of listeners. We have both of you listening.
we have all 3 of you listening to this right now. Extra Soap, XTRA, is part of the caravan that goes through these towns before stages.
There is a caravan.
Now, a brilliant idea from Extra Soap, just brilliant, was they were going to spray soap out the back of this truck
Little sud cannon, yep.
as they are going through these small towns.
Yeah.
Now,
What?
I don't know if anybody in that company was like, hey, wait a minute. has anybody here ever tried to ride on a road after soaking it with soap just to see what would happen? No, Tim. Shh, quiet over there.
Clean those roads.
Yeah, only optimistic point of views here. Stop being such a Debbie Downer. And
How did that get approved by the committee?
so
don't know.
Hincappy was saying that one of the riders he was talking to said that some of those crashes didn't even make sense where they happened. And if you look at some of the crashes, they're like on a straightaway. The guys just slip and go down. And there's this foamy white surface that streaks across the road on a couple of these crashes. I'll tell you what, that's not car oil. That was the soap that was on the road that was sprayed out of this extra cannon. And it coated the towns that they went through.
Yeah, you can see it, like in some of the stills. Like they would show like the accident, and a few moments have gone by, and you would think something like that would dissipate, but you're looking at like a long white skid mark that goes to where the person like, that's really odd.
And the road was like foamy looking too in spots.
Yeah.
It's and I mean, you heard Tom DeMullen and multiple others after the race said it was like being on an ice skating rink.
It was so crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that 60 riders went down. 3 actually had to abandon after the first stage, including Deckenkolb.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
which was a shame.
It was
really
another big
Philippe Gilbert?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Broke
was
his
another
kneecap.
big shame.
Yeah.
Poor Gilbert's had a couple real bad crashes the last couple of years. That guy's had some bad luck.
I guess one of the
Sivakov went down too, which is
Right.
big news for Ineos because
everybody
he
went
crashed
down.
hard. Yeah,
Crashed a couple times, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, both sides were
Sivakov
torn
had-
up.
He had a rough day.
That's crazy.
one of the coolest things that happened was on one of the last descents on the day. Tony Martin from Jumbo Visma rode to the front of the peloton, put his arms out like a airplane to say, "Okay,
Calm down.
everybody, slow down. Let's
Yep.
just get to the
roads are not safe."
It's like he like neutralized the whole field.
Yep.
And let's wait till we get to the flat, and then we can go sprint for the finish.
I think I've seen Tony Martin do some questionable things over the years, but like I like him. I like him.
Yeah.
He's a time trial specialist.
He's
I
considered.
almost put him on my little team, my fantasy league.
Fantasy team.
Maybe I did. I don't even know if I put him on there. But I was like, I don't know if he's going to win anything, but he's definitely a leader. He's been there a long time.
I think he's considered. Right now, he's probably considered the patron of the peloton, which is that used to be Fabian Cancellara. It was pretty well known that Fabian Cancellara was the patron of the peloton. I think that's Tony Martin now. Because, I mean, in the Tour, if you're the dude that goes to the front of the race and puts his arms like, hey, everybody calm down, and anybody listens to you, you're the guy.
Yep.
So,
Well, he's also been around a long time.
Yep.
yes, yeah.
And he's got some accolades.
Yep.
So,
So
He rides for Jumbo Visma.
and Jumbo Visma is definitely like the
nobody
team,
wants to make
I
them
think.
mad,
I think
yeah.
everyone's really looking at Jumbo Visma this year,
yeah.
which
So it did-
is interesting.
Stage 1 did come down to a sprint. There was a crash under 3 kilometers to go.
Right.
One of my picks for top 3, Thibaut Pinot, went down.
Yeah. He
but
was so angry.
He was fired.
He was
up.
It was
I
like
was mad.
right after that 3K barrier.
Like just barely. So he didn't lose any time, but he
But
hit
he's
the
going
deck.
to be sore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stage ended up being won by Christoph.
Yep.
And in a still kind of hairy, wet road
He's
sprint.
huge. Did you see him in the yellow jersey the next day?
He's also old, isn't he?
He is like,
Yeah.
looking at him, like if you had told me this guy is like a 1K track specialist, I'd be like, yeah, that looks
Yeah,
about
that
right. He
makes
looks like he
sense.
weighs a 250, like just strong looking dude.
Stage 2 also started in Nice. Went over 2 big climbing day this
Category
early.
1 climbs,
2
yeah.
Category 1 climbs, 1 Category 2 climb.
Finished on a hairy descent to a run into the
To
finish.
a run into
Yeah.
finish.
Yep.
Guess who that favors?
Yes,
That was a good stage.
it was a fun
It's a great
stage.
That
to
was a
watch.
fun stage to watch.
The
for
last
sure.
10 seconds of that were just like,
Oh, so exciting.
so exhilarating. Yeah.
So 3 guys got away: Julian Alaphilippe,
Adam Yates.
and
The young guy that
I
we
was
don't
just
remember
about
the
to
names.
look it
Swiss
up.
guy, yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Really promising. Yeah,
they got away. They only had like a 30-second lead on the peloton, but the peloton came roaring back. But they held them off by seconds.
It was quite close.
It was very close, and believe it or not, Julian Alaphilippe wins the stage. So absolutely fantastic. That was super fun to watch. He lost his dad this year, so he was really emotional at the finish. It was just really cool to see his and how happy he was.
How long do we think Julian holds on to that yellow?
It could be a little while.
It could be a lot like last year. We get
But
some deja
tomorrow,
vu.
yeah, Tuesday's stage is a hard stage, and so we'll see what happens. You will know by the time
These
you
people
listen
will
to this.
know.
By the time you're listening to this,
But
you
we
will
don't know. So that's kind of cool. The interesting thing that happened was Peter Sagan, who is definitely going for the green jersey.
Yep.
He seems to be showing a little age.
I have a theory that everyone's just like, yeah, and we're not letting him, do what he normally does and just wind through and sprint or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, after today's stage, he got green points along the way.
did.
So he's doing
I think
fine.
Well,
we're
the interesting-
so early in this whole thing, and he knows that it's a long race.
He needs all these points.
He's going to get. He usually wins by a landslide. Why go destroy yourself right now?
Well, the interesting thing is stage 2, he got in the early break knowing that there was a sprint coming up with like 7 other riders. They get to the sprint, and he goes hard to win the sprint point and got out-sprinted by
Matteo Trentin.
Yeah. So he got out-sprinted by him.
He might not be the strongest sprinter anymore, but he's still for
Yes.
the entire tour. There's nobody that compares to Peter Sagan. There's nobody that can
he's
do
still
the
a
whole
cagey
thing and
rider.
put it all together.
Yeah.
That's the way I think too. I mean, he's definitely
He'll
an
still be getting
all-out
points in week 2.
flat sprint. He's not going to win.
I mean, you put him up against
Theoretically.
like the likes of like a Caleb Ewing. Yeah, like this morning, Caleb showed he's probably one of the strongest guys, most aerodynamic and powerful guys.
That was pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
Stage
was an
3,
amazing stage.
it
Yeah.
did come down to a sprint at the end. Today's stage was fun to watch as
Yep.
well. And Caleb Ewing ends up winning the race, and what was he in, like 10th with like 200 meters to go?
He just weaved in and out.
Are we talking
way back?
If we're talking about drugs, like that looked weird.
Yeah.
Because he like winded through people and passed people. He passed people like as if Lance was passing me on a bike ride. But I'm like, what's going on
He's so
here?
perfectly built as a little missile,
Yes.
though, because he's literally on what, like a. I'm going to over-exaggerate here, but like a 48-centimeter frame.
probably on a
sprinting
52.
behind the likes of
He's all
Christoph and guys like that
legs.
who literally
Yeah.
break his wind to where he's probably
Right.
like.
In his sprint position, he's like licking the
he's
front
a missile.
tire.
Yeah.
He's
Cavendish. He's a missile. Yeah.
He's down.
Pretty freaking aerodynamic. Yep.
Yeah.
But
So pretty amazing to watch.
But he timed that race perfectly because as a sprinter, they say if you can touch the wind in the last 50 meters, that's perfect. He touched the wind in the last 20 meters and got
What they were
Yeah.
saying before the end of the race, that's what you needed to do because you were going into wind. You needed
Yep.
to wait until the
He
very last
waited.
second. He played it perfectly.
Yeah.
the way he
It was a
came
clinic. It
around
was a clinic.
that group, I mean, you're talking about he was passing people like it looked to me like he was passing them at about 5 miles an hour in comparative
Right.
speed.
Boink, 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 boink.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're talking about the best sprinters in the world that he's passing. Like that's weird.
He was blown by him. He was.
That's,
I mean, it
that's
was
just weird.
I'm going to say, I'm going to say
More on
wind
that
conditions.
later.
I'm going to say wind conditions. We'll get back to that later.
Yeah. Who knows? I know nothing.
So pretty amazing to watch that. But again, Peter Sagan was in pretty good position. He ended up having to sprint early, and he just got swallowed up.
Yep.
He ended up 5th on the stage, but
He looked like he died mid-sprint.
did. Well, he had, I think he had to go early. Yeah, and he had the lead.
He went early.
Yeah,
But
and
maybe that's his thing. Maybe he knew like if I don't go early, I'm not going to win, or I don't know.
There's
But
not a huge point spread between first and say fifth. I mean, yeah, you might be 5 or 6 points down from what you could have got, but
Yeah.
if you think about the loss, the biggest loser on the day was Christoph.
yes, because he was
like 20th or something,
15th or 20th.
super deep in there. He lost a lot of
He
points.
lost a lot of points.
I think-
so. Sagan's back in green
Yes.
already.
Is he okay?
Yeah.
I was gonna say like he knows how to do this. He's gonna pick up all those little green lines throughout the race. It's not all about that finish line each time. I'm sure he wants to win a stage.
Christoph's poor legs were just tired from getting 2 Category 1 climbs a day before. Did you see? I know they were like kept on bringing the camera over to him. I was like, let the guy just fall off the back. For God's sake, do not make it. They're like, oh, the weight of the yellow will get him over this climb. I was like, it's not going to. It's like,
The weight of the yellow.
I mean, obviously,
there's extra weight there.
Sagan's never going to win the tour. He might. How many times has he worn yellow?
7 times.
7 times.
No. He's won the green
jersey, but like,
7 times.
how many times has he come out and won and been in the yellow jersey? It's happened like once or
It's
twice.
happened
haven't
a couple times.
Has it?
But
Okay, yeah.
they were saying that in 120 some odd stage starts in the Tour de France, he's only worn his normal team kit 5 times, and today was the 5th time.
Yeah.
He's always been wearing like
Yeah.
a national champions jersey, a green jersey,
yeah.
yellow
World
jersey,
championship
World
jersey.
champion
Yeah.
jersey. Yeah.
that's astounding. If you think
That's
about
amazing.
like the number of starts that he's had in his life and what he
gotta be
has
so
accomplished.
It's gonna be so
But-
disappointing this morning. He's getting on. He's like, "What?" It's like I ride for Bora. It's like, he's got to look at it and be like, "Oh yeah, that was our jersey. I completely forgot what our jersey looks like because I don't have a train anyway."
To play devil's advocate again, like maybe he's getting old.
Well, of course he
maybe
is.
Yeah.
maybe the other thing that could be an issue for a lot of these riders is like they went through quarantine like I'm going
Yeah.
through quarantine, and they didn't go through quarantine like Lance is going through quarantine.
Yeah,
Some of us just handle it differently than others.
I think you're going to see that when the mountains hit. You're going to see
who did the work?
who did the work, and who did not do the work.
Who did the work? Who took a little extra help into the work?
and who didn't
Moron.
either. Yeah, I know.
Aside from any crashing, I think he finishes in green, and I think he
Yeah.
finishes in green for at least the next 3 years.
Well, that's good.
Beside from
Get to
any
a solid
crashing
10.
or disqualifications, because that has happened.
Well, that was a bunch of
happened one
hooey
year.
anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
That was Cavendish being a little crybaby, but
It was.
We all know that was bogus, but
it was
it happened.
100% bogus.
It was.
So
It
It
happened,
was like
for
one
sure.
of the worst calls that they've ever
That
made.
is
But
the kettle calling the pot black. Is that how the saying goes? The pot calling the kettle black?
sure,
Yeah, that's true.
The coffee cup calling. Never mind.
not a Cav fan. Sorry.
The other big news:
Neither.
the guy who was holding the polka dot jersey,
Oh,
and
that was sad.
he contested the polka dot points for the day. Right near the end of the race, he crashed, broke his collarbone. He's out.
It's collarbone? Oh, okay. I didn't
So
know.
he fought hard and was the second climb. He had the points. All he had to do was finish the stage.
Perez on Cofidis.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
he
Young
gets.
kid.
He would have got there. Would have been donned with the polka dot jersey. He crashed.
close.
He crashed on the descent after he
So
took the points to win and crashed into his own team car and broke his
Oh,
collarbone.
was it? I thought he hit a
Yes.
back tire of someone.
No.
Maybe I'm
This
thinking
is
of
team
this
car.
is just the tour though. I mean, like it's like every year. I know it's like it's chaos. It is a circus out there. It's like
I think I saw that Wout van Aert
Yeah,
crashed
down too, yeah.
in the finishing
missed that.
10K or something
Oh,
like
God.
that. He did get up and finish, but
yeah.
Didn't try and get
Yeah,
back in
it was in the
ticket
last.
with
It was
anything.
definitely in the last 10K.
it was like in the last 10K.
This is the most amazing thing about the tour to me, and this is what we're going to talk about later too. Is anybody who has ever crashed in a bike race, racing that next day always feels terrible. Could you imagine doing that for 3 weeks? No. That'd
So-
be, oh my god!
Right.
I think
3 weeks of that.
there's real value to that thought process where it's like, hey, who of the GC contenders hasn't crashed? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Even, like Tom Dumoulin went down,
Who doesn't
even
have
though
a
it was
massive
kind of a soft fall.
stinger
Yeah.
on his hip? Yeah.
But like, if you haven't, let's see, Quintana went down today, I think.
He's fine.
No, that was his. It was his brother.
It was his brother.
Oh, it was. Oh, thank God. I was going to say, I
He's
was
got
like,
a
I was trying
brother.
to track the
His
crash.
name
Yeah,
it's Nairo and like Nero. I don't,
Yeah.
their
It's
names are
awfully
all-
close.
they're all
Mom and Dad
Okay.
were not
Okay.
very.
Very creative family.
Not very creative.
It's a very
Okay.
It's a
But I'm
very
just thinking
fast
like,
family uphill. Yeah.
you look
so
through
fast uphill.
who hasn't crashed, who's not going to have those 3 or 4 days of aching, and even if it's
Yeah.
a soft crash, it still hurts,
Bad
especially if
sleep.
you're old.
Bad sleep that night.
Bad sleep that night. Yeah, it all adds
Feel
up.
uncomfortable on the bike. Yeah.
I'm sure they got stuff for that.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
that's true.
got stuff for that. They definitely got stuff for that. Quarters on Joe.
None of us have talked about Tom Dumoulin. I mean, there's like, we've talked about the team, Jumbo Visma, and it's like, that is an interesting mix because he thinks he's the guy.
And Roglic had a crash
the
at
rest
Criterion.
and the
Yeah,
rest of the
so-
team doesn't necessarily think he's the guy. So there's some drama there. I mean, we all think like that team's so cohesive and blah, 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 and they're the team to beat, but maybe we're wrong.
I think he wants to be the guy. I think he
wants to
understands
be
that
the
he's
guy.
not the guy, though. But
He's the guy until the high mountains come.
He is pretty arrogant. Did you see his crash yesterday?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
I did.
in the
Totally.
wrong.
Totally his fault.
Yes.
And then today they interviewed him, and he tried to blame it on somebody else. But he also tried to smooth it over by saying, "Oh, it just happens. These things happen. We just move on. Ha ha ha."
Yeah.
that was 100% him. He's
Yeah.
looking over his shoulder,
Yep.
and he
If
ran
you
into
watch
somebody
it,
else, and he went
yes.
down.
No. He was looking over his shoulder, and that Ineos guy definitely cut him off. If you watch it, I think
that happened quickly,
Yeah.
but I don't
But-
think
I
it
don't
was
think
that.
it-
I
But
don't think it was.
But he wasn't aware. He was
definitely looking the wrong way.
It's like his job. I mean, like if somebody's moving in front of you, you got to adapt to that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
on
that's
you.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the back tire came across his front tire, basically.
Yeah.
So
It's like moving front tire. Yeah.
If you're half wheeling somebody, and
they
you
shift
decide
over,
that you're going
it's
to look
on
over
you.
your shoulder, and they're coming over, and it's your job
Well,
to go over
The whole
as well.
peloton's half wheeling.
Oh yeah,
that's
the whole time. I mean, I
But
will say
in that
that
scenario,
that Ineos guy came up on him, passed him, and then cut him
over.
off. I don't know. If I'm defending him, great. But he should. Yeah, I mean, he was looking around and he went down.
I mean, it was just an accident. It wasn't.
It was
an
pretty.
accident.
It looked
but I
slow.
like how he likes to kind of pass the buck on to
Someone.
somebody else. It's somebody else's fault. I can't take ownership on that.
It was also a pretty critical time. They weren't. I don't think they were going super fast. They were going uphill, so that could soften the fall a little bit. But it was also at a time where it was like 3 riders are up the road. And that pack of GC contenders were like, "What are we going to do?"
Right.
So it was a serious time in the race for sure. Sure, he didn't want to go down at that point.
Right.
That would really stink to just have to like randomly put out a 5-minute FTP effort just to get back on. They always make that seem like a small task. Like, oh, he's back on the back of the peloton. I was like, that poor guy just had to do like an all-out test. Yeah.
So before we move on real quick, how many more days will Alaphilippe be in yellow? Let's go around the table real quick. Currently sitting on 2
He's
as
on
we sit
2.
here on Monday.
We're doing this on Monday,
August 31st.
I'm going to say 3 more days.
3 more days, so for a total of 5.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Evan?
I don't think he makes it past Tuesday.
Tomorrow.
I'm totally guessing because I haven't even looked at the routes for
How
the
about you,
next
Matt?
week.
I don't like to agree with Evan, but he's going to be gone tomorrow.
He's going to be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have to say that I agree with Evan as well.
Dang it, man.
Sorry.
I think
So it's on me.
Here's
Well,
the
but
thing.
I think
if
that
it's
tomorrow
not-
the
if it's
fireworks
not
are going to fly, and I
Yeah.
don't think he's got the team and the support or the ability
I don't
to.
think Bernal wants to go quite for the yellow yet, or Roglic, but you
Right.
know one of those, the Quintana, the Pinot, the Bardets, those guys are going to go.
Well, here's
Bardet's
the
out.
thing.
Bardet.
Oh, Bardet's out. My
Oh,
bad,
is he
my bad.
out? Damn.
Yeah, he is.
Wait, Bardet's out already?
Yeah.
broke his
happened?
knee
Yeah.
Oh.
When did that happen?
yesterday. Well, on the first day.
He was
broke his kneecap. He was one of the ones.
He was like one of
I
my
thought it was
picks.
Gilbert.
He's my pick
Yeah.
for
Oh,
second.
Philippe Gilbert. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
All right,
my
Bardet.
bad.
I thought
Frenchman mixed
Bardet
up.
was out.
I don't know.
Look it up.
No, wait, never
Obviously,
mind,
we
never
don't
mind.
know.
We
He's
suck.
my pick for second. He's my pick for second, so
We'll
he
say he's
can't
still
be
in.
out.
We'll say he's still in.
He can't be out.
So here's the thing, though. What if the tour doesn't make it 3 weeks and it ends after 7 days or 8 days?
Is that the winner?
Yes.
Well, it was like last
so
year.
if Bernal kind of like, hey, let's wait until you know the last
wanna
week,
wait.
or if they're waiting for the time trial, which is on stage 20, that
Might
could
not
be a
ever
mistake if they don't actually make it to Paris.
How awesome would that be if just some like the Peloton just one day lets a break go?
Right.
Somebody gets 8.5 minutes, like, we'll get him tomorrow.
Yep.
Tour canceled. Some random guy from like Cofidis wins.
Just wins.
Philippe Gilbert could win the whole thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Crazy.
No, he's out.
He's out.
Well, interesting.
Kneecap.
Bardet?
That's why we love it. That's why we keep
Chip
watching.
Bailey out.
Chip Bailey's out.
We're
We
out.
haven't even talked about running yet.
No, please.
Do you guys have anything you need to inject in this?
Actually, I don't think there.
I don't think there has been
Good.
running.
Moving
yet.
on. Moving
Yeah,
on.
don't worry
moving
about
on.
it.
I'm sure there's. Yeah.
Patreon. No new patrons. It's all good because we have our patrons that we love. And if you too would like to become a Patreon, go to dialpodcast.com. And there's a nice little link there that you can click on and see all the different options. And we greatly appreciate and thank all of those who are supporting us in our endeavors here. We do, though, have a little drawing.
Yes.
Yes.
It's worth it to be a Patreon because you can win things.
Hear that?
And it's not like the odds are in your favor. So,
So this week we've got a Zwift water bottle,
ooh.
or our friends over at Sierra Nevada, Mr. Los,
Mr. Los, yes.
has given us some hats to give away. So you can take
cool.
your pick of a Zwift water bottle or some hats, and if you live elsewhere, we'll send them over to you. So I'm gonna shake this up again here real quick. Everybody's names are in there. Who's a current Patreon? Matt's gonna pull one out of the box there. I can't see anything. It's all folded up, and he's gonna. Mr. Mark Radford. Mark Radford.
Mark Radford.
Woo, Mark.
Triathlete.
Let's go triathlon.
And superstar.
He's a super cool dude.
He is.
He
That's so nice.
He did do bike racing though, so I'm gonna
He
give
did.
him that. I'm gonna,
He did a crit with
I
us
know.
last year.
He's definitely
He's always
leaning
open
that
to trying
direction.
anything new. Yeah.
Well, and this year he was like going all in, like doing all the Y races and all this stuff, and they've unfortunately, like he signed up for that before all the COVID
Like
stuff,
everything, yeah.
and it's just been
virtual.
all virtual.
A lot of virtual. Yep.
So
Yeah.
Mark Radford, give us a shout, and you could probably even swing by. You're here local. If you want to pick up your water bottle or a hat, whatever you choose, it's all yours, bud. Thank you for being a patron, and thank you for listening. Our topic for today. I'm not missing anything, am I? I didn't skip over anything this week.
Nope.
ask a PT.
You are on task.
Ask a PT sleeping this week. We'll get back to it next week.
He was sleeping
ask
last
a
week
PT
too.
should be
Wait.
something about the tour.
Maybe that'll be
how
just
much
one
should
last
you
thing.
watch of the tour?
And our,
all of it.
our Med Student Minute might be off for a little while because our friend of the podcast and Patreon, Jesse Tonkinson, just had a baby.
Congratulations, Tonk.
And
Yes.
just had a baby. So
Yeah,
congrats,
congratulations. Good-looking kid. I don't know who the parents are because
Very
that's a good-looking kid.
I know.
Tonk. Baby Tonk.
Baby
Kid's-
Tonk.
Kid's gonna ride a bike fast.
I know, right? I'm pretty sure that kid can climb
Or
already.
just do something really, really well.
Pretty sure climb mountains.
She's a cute kid for sure. Good job,
Mm-hmm.
Tonkinsons. Our topic for today, we're going to go back to this again. We're going to dig into it. Doping in endurance sports.
But mostly the tour.
But mostly the tour. So just some things that we might want to discuss here. What are they using? How does it help them? Has there been testing during COVID?
Other conspiracy theories.
Is it happening in the tour, do you guys think? I don't know. And then some little controversial stuff that's been happening here recently with that Evanpool.
Remco Evanpool, yeah.
He had a little conspiracy pop up around him here over
Yes.
the last few days. So we're going to talk about all that. Let's go into what are they using? I have no idea. Do they are they still
Well,
using like testosterones
And that's the thing. Like, I don't
microdosing
think
that kind of
I don't
stuff?
think any of us know what they're using because they're probably on
We
something.
have to wait for a massive scandal to come out
Yeah,
before we know
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm sure there's variants of EPO. EPO's like got to be the biggest helpful benefit to things, but they could be using other things
Yeah.
that are similar or some variant of EPO.
Yeah, there's.
Right.
I mean, really, just the effectiveness of EPO was just that it's a stimulant that just increases red blood cell growth. So
Yep.
all it takes is them to find something else that does that very well.
Well-
erythropoietin is pretty tough to beat. I mean, it's
Well, now
been
don't
historically very
they
effective.
they take hematocrit levels
Yes.
from
They have
the
blood
riders
profiles.
beforehand, so they have profiles. So if they
Right.
get beyond their profile more
Right.
than a certain percent, they're out.
Yeah,
Regardless.
they get tagged, I
Yeah.
think. So I mean, but that's also when
yeah.
if you've seen Lance's documentaries when he talks about that, it was hey, if you're getting close, it was like, hey, back off a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll let you get your number back down, back off. I'm sure that stuff is still happening because let's be honest, the cycling right now as a business model cannot afford to have a bunch of
huge scandal.
controversies. Now, a good controversy kind of helps sometimes, but cycling's at the point where it's gotten old and it needs to stabilize and it
Yep.
needs to give this clean picture. So could you imagine if they came out and they're like,
Huge
hey,
drug bust this year.
Ineos Grenadiers has been, the last 2 years running a systematic program. That takes out one of your biggest, I mean, that's like if you're a car dealership and you just like drop 20 of your most expensive cars right there. Like,
it's like they can't afford a scandal.
no.
They can't afford it in a normal year with COVID. Like it's,
They definitely
it's
can't
like
afford it
that
this year.
times
Yeah.
10. So
in that same breath, are they turning a cheek because they know that they're going to just take this huge hit if they lose the likes
Oh,
of
yeah.
an Ineos?
I'm
and
sure-
again, we're not saying that Ineos is doping.
No. We're just using them as
Or
an
are they?
example. Or are they?
well,
But
you would expect a lot of these teams to do whatever is legal up at least until the rules, and
Yeah.
then a certain small percentage of people to go past that. So, I'm guessing that the tour itself as an organization does not want a lot of positive tests.
No.
But they also have to keep up the appearance of at least performing drug tests, or else that's a horrible situation
Yeah.
as well.
And not that any of us know this for sure, but from what I've heard, and I can only speak for the track and field organization internationally,
Yes.
that the IOC was not testing during COVID.
Right.
I don't know how you could safely.
Yeah.
You can't.
You
How,
can't.
how could you do any
So
testing safely?
yeah, I mean, it's in theory to think. Okay, I'd like to believe in the good of some people. Let's say 50% of the peloton is still like, hey, I'm still trying to help this sport move towards a cleaner image. I'm not going to do anything. There's 50% that are of that 50%. 40% of them may be like, I'm going to push things a little bit. I'm going to stay as legal as I think I can stay here. We're going to push. We're going to take all the ketones and all the other stuff you want to take as much as possible. But there's going to be 10% that are going to be like green light. Here we go. Let's we're gonna
No one's checking their hematocrit levels.
we're not gonna microdose this. I'm taking full on EPO testosterone. I'm gonna grow and do 40 hours of training a week here so I can build up this massive base, and I'm gonna get off before we get into the tour.
Wouldn't that already show in like some crazy results early on already? And we haven't
I'd wait for the
yet.
high mountains. I'd
Okay.
wait for the high mountains actually. Yeah.
In all honesty, like even
Woots looked pretty strong coming back from a pretty brutal injury.
Hey, now.
Well, he's young, and that's
You're throwing
That's a pretty
there.
crazy injury he had, and he won 5. Well, how many races was it in a row? I'm just saying, I mean, crazy results.
won,
I'd
4.
classified that under pretty crazy results.
Caleb Ewan sprinted past the rest of the world's top sprinters in about 20 meters. Like, what kind of crazy results are we asking for?
Yeah.
It's only been 3 stages, but I just think
Adam Yates closed a gap to Alaphilippe like that.
I think there was a
if you're
glitch in the Matrix.
I think there was a glitch in the Matrix, and
I
Adam
think
Yates closed that
so.
gap.
If you're looking for results, you can always find results that look off. You know, and so I don't think any of us are like, hey, Adam Yates is definitely glowing. We don't know. But that's what this podcast is all about. We're going to talk out of our ass. Yeah.
Didn't Lance always say? Lance Armstrong was saying that in the peloton they just called it strange. It was
Strange.
Like, that's all they call it. Was like, that was strange.
That was strange.
That's all they would say is that. So like when
Cancellara just rode away from everybody up a hill. That was strange.
That
It was strange how his wheel kept spinning after he crashed.
Yeah. But there was the classic example was when Floyd Landis rode away from the entire field and won the Tour de France basically in a breakaway.
Yeah.
And the next day they were talking like people in the peloton were like, that was strange. That was a little strange.
I like that. We might need to start using that more often.
Yeah. That was a strange effort.
Well, just put yourself in the mindset of these guys. I mean, they're working their butts off, and very few of these guys are like superstars. There's only a couple.
These guys do not get
Peter Sagans of the world or a Chris Froome or whatnot. So for you to get your name on the map and to get picked up by a team and get a big contract, you've only got a certain window to do that.
To do something strange.
And to do something strange. So if you do that strange stuff and you can really get your star like lit up, you're going to make a lot of money. And then if you get popped, kind of like Lance did, you're going to have a crap ton of money.
Yep.
And they're thinking about their future, and unfortunately that's a reality.
It's tempting when I feel like once you get into that world, because I mean let's be clear, the Tour de France is this bubble of this year. I mean, what, 150 guys this year?
I think it's 150.
I think so.
150. It's a bubble of 150 guys that are far and away the best cyclists in the world, far and away, and they're all incredible. And I mean we're talking about another level of performance here. But we all look at that and we're like, wow, that's incredible. In their world, to be that big money guy, you have to be. I mean, the difference between a 6.2 watts per kilo FTP and a 6.5 watts per kilo FTP could be unachievable for the 6.2 to 6.5.
Correct.
Unless you get creative. And that's where, I mean, we start seeing it. Because a lot of these guys are capping out their training. They're in their mid to late 20s. You're not going to see big improvements in performance. So, I mean, the best example is Rico Cobra. I forget the guy's first name. But he's the guy who started Phil Guyman's quest to, like, go and get as many KOMs as possible from dopers. It started with this guy.
Okay.
He had a bunch of global KOMs because he got popped 2 or 3 times for doping and then disbanded for life and just made this thing where he was like, I'm just going to go get all the KOMs in the world. And he went and got like a bunch of big-time KOMs, and Phil Guyman's original goal was like, I'm going to get this guy's KOMs back.
I thought it was a guy named Thorfinn Sasquatch.
That sounds right.
That was another guy, but it was Rico. I need to look at the guy's name.
It might be both those guys. Guyman might have targeted both those guys.
He did. I just know the Cobra was one of them. But yeah,
I know that Thorfinn Sasquatch, that was his Strava name.
Another one, yeah.
But he was a Masters athlete
This could have been,
that got popped for
never
doping
mind, different guy.
and ended up just going for KOMs, and Guyman said, "Okay, all these KOMs around LA, I'm taking them all from this guy."
And this guy was he was not a bit like, I think he was like a Conti pro for a little bit, and then out of nowhere in like 2 years, all of a sudden gets a contract and is now like at the front of some of these like Grand Tour stages. Was never a Grand Tour contender, but was a guy who was like grabbing stages and like 1-day races and stuff. And you're talking about a guy who probably was close to capping out his ability already, who now went from Conti Pro to winning World Tour race. Like, that's a jump.
Yeah.
That's not normal. That's strange. I think when you see moves like that, that's when you get suspicious. It's like, you're looking at some 32-year-old all of a sudden at the front of a stage, and it's like people are looking at it like, who is this? Like, that's the guy you need to look at and be like, okay, that performance doesn't make sense from his past. Not as much I just joked about Adam Yates. Adam Yates has shown
but here's the question:
incredible ability
if these
over the last
guys
few years.
haven't been clean, if these guys haven't always been clean, if they've been microdosing or whatever it is, and then we have this like green light for everyone, go for it, and so let's say it's not that 20% or less of the peloton that actually does it. Let's say it's like 90%, and then you have the tour. Then you're going to have the same names pop up in the front, right? Like, everyone was
everybody
kind of
just got 5% better. Yeah.
Right.
Just for clarification here, too, there were 22 teams in the tour, and there's 176 riders. So,
176 riders. Okay,
one of us finally stopped and took the time
Minus
to look that up.
4 so far. There's 4 that are out already.
And 60 that hit the ground.
6. Matter of fact, the race doctor, he didn't even file a report after the first day. He's like, everybody went down, and I put bandages on 60 people, and I'm not even going to file a report.
I'm not even going to complain about my documentation this week. That's 60 guys in one day. You guys have documented a lot of crashes.
Let's talk about the Evenepoel thing.
Yep.
So he was doing a race, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Il Lombardia or something
Il Lombardia. It was near the end of...
We need to play that like alien conspiracy music in the background. We're talking about
X-Files,
Okay, so it's near the end of the race. There's a big crazy descent that ends going over a bridge that has a stone wall. He missed the corner. He misjudges the corner, hits the stone wall, flies over the bridge, falls 30 feet into some trees.
Thank God does not die.
Yeah, doesn't die, breaks his pelvis.
Correct.
He's out for this year or longer. Who knows how long it takes to recover from the pelvis.
Long time.
Here's the controversy that just came out yesterday. Did it just pop out
over the weekend,
yesterday?
I think.
Over the weekend.
There's video of his team director taking something out of his rear pocket.
There's one person here who has not seen this video.
Oh, okay.
So
I'll look at it.
That would be...
As Lance is describing
Legrand.
this, I am going to
seen it.
play this video for the one person who has not seen this yet.
So
Tell us what you see, Matt.
Hold on. I might need to replay it.
This is riveting podcast material.
This is live. This is live and raw. Okay.
Speaking of pelvises, little tangent here. How many people do we know have broke something in their hip or their pelvis recently? Good God, stop it, people.
We know.
A few. I'm not going to shout out
3.
names, but
3 teammates, right?
Okay. So he took something out of his pocket.
He took something out of Evenepoel's pocket and stuck it in his own
His
pocket.
team support guy. Put it in his pocket.
Yeah. So the controversy is
They slow it down. Yeah. What did he take out?
What did he take out? What was he trying to hide?
Could be anything.
It could be anything.
It could be caffeine pills. It doesn't have to be something that's illegal.
Well, it's like
they
a
are
little-
calling it his finishing bottle. Now it's a little unbranded, unmarked white bottle.
My question with that is,
it could be a
so if that could be something small, like that doesn't matter. Why, when this dude is laying on the ground screaming and literally my first thought if I'm going down there for team sport is like, we're going to find a dead body down there.
Yeah.
Why is that the first thing that you go after, is go into his pocket and grab something?
What if? Okay,
not good.
Let me just pretend that it's not some
Play
drug
devil's
issue.
advocate here. Let's do
What if it? Okay, especially in a race like that, right after all the COVID stuff, right? I mean, okay, but what if it's what if it's a non-sponsored brand thing, right? Like they're sponsored by Spindrift, and he's got a Polar, water in there, and they're like, don't show this on the, don't let this happen on the,
It was unmarked or it was unbranded,
It
but
just
it was
looks like
in his
unbranded
pocket
white
too. It was
thing.
in
it's
his
a
pocket.
white weird thing.
It almost looks like a powdery bag to me.
And it's a small.
It looks like a powdery bag.
It's something small, and they were saying that they were taking it out to make him more comfortable when he was going to be put on a stretcher.
He's
something
about
like
to be
that,
put on a stretcher. They don't want him to be laid on his back, and he's got crap in his back pocket.
Well, I mean, like cocaine could like tilt your pelvis in a weird way. I don't know. That's like,
You said it.
I also like Remco Evenepoel, by the way. I think he's great. I really do.
He's 20. He's young.
He's
So,
incredible talent.
Still feeling out what kind of person he's going to be.
I hate even saying this because I like everybody in this conversation that I'm about to like talk about in some conspiracy comparison. He has had a lot of contact with Johan Bernal early in his career. A lot of support from Johan Bernal.
I can't imagine.
And that's
those
not
guys
like a
are
conspiracy
even-
thing. Johan talks about that pretty openly.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you tell everybody who's listening who doesn't know who that is?
Johan Bernal was the director sportif, which is basically the coach for Lance's
every
Postal
one of
and
his tour wins.
All of the Lance wins and also
Every one of
the
his,
Contador wins. So-
all of Contador's wins, all of Lance's wins, and
Yes.
and he, I'm sure, was fully aware of the doping that was happening.
Oh, he openly was, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's...
So, all right,
Love Johan Bernal, though. I
what
really
drugs would be beneficial for him to have on his person
Towards the end of a race?
towards the end of the race?
Cocaine.
Stimulant.
Any sort of stimulant.
Any sort of stimulant.
Probably not cocaine. They probably have something
I
like...
mean, they're not like that raw anymore. This isn't the 60s. Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're...
Caffeine.
It's not like this Eddie Merckx riding up a climb.
Methamphetamine.
Methamphetamine.
Speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything.
For sure. But
Probably some
probably not
really
cocaine.
scientific combination of all. I mean, Adderall. would be
Adderall.
great.
Yeah.
In a small dose. You can't take it at the beginning. Is anybody saying? Yeah.
Of course, again, it could have just been
Could be
ketones. It could have, which are not banned by the UCI.
I also think it still could be
caffeine
like
and-
almost an AirPods case. It kind of looks like it could be an AirPods case. And maybe they were like, oh, those are really valuable. Let's make sure he doesn't lose his AirPods.
Everyone races with AirPods. What
I
are you
know,
Honestly-
talking
right? Yeah, they were like, oh, thank God the AirPods didn't break.
I doubt this is anything. I think this is a witch hunt.
No, that looks so... Why would he go down there and his first thing is to grab something out of his back pocket?
Because we don't know if it was the first thing. He could have been down there for minutes before that guy started filming.
Yeah, but
So we don't know if it's the
he's
first
still
thing.
squirming on the ground. Well, I mean, of course, he'll still be squirming on the
He
ground. He's in
wasn't
a lot of pain.
moving. He knew that he broke something, so he
Yeah.
wasn't moving. But I would just be... Okay, I want to believe that it's
Oh,
nothing.
so do I, because I really like Remco. But it's something. It's something. This is cycling. This isn't...
So the UCI has opened an investigation. They want an investigation of what it is. I don't know. How do you
What are you going to
investigate
find?
this?
What
Where
are
do
you going to
find
ask
it?
the guy?
That
Be
thing
like,
has been destroyed.
Is it
at
still in
this
his
point.
pocket?
about? Oh, yeah, still got it.
Oh, here. Let me give it to
right
you.
here. It was my bag of Mentos.
You mean this methamphetamine I have in my pocket?
Yeah.
How long does something like that stay in your system if it's a methamphetamine or some sort of like cocaine?
That's
I
a
mean, if it's
great question.
cocaine-based stuff, that's in your system for a bit of time. So would
They
they
used
be
to
able
just
to?
take that at the base of like final climbs. So
Couldn't they just test them? I mean, I don't know if
no,
it.
I
He's in
think
the
it's-
hospital with
Well,
a
no.
broken
But
pelvis.
are there... Right, they're not going to test them at this point. But, like,
I think they will.
were there... Do we know if there was even testing at that race? That's my question. If they're like, yeah, they're
question.
if they know, like, there's no testing at the end of this race, and everyone's like, well, bring your stash.
My second,
bring your finishing
stuff.
model.
It also looked like a lot of white. I mean, when you look at it, it looks like a handful of like, what was he planning on doing with that? Like,
I thought it was like a little package or something, like a little white package.
it's tough to see. I know it's tough to see.
and the next question is like, who? Like, we don't know what's in there, obviously, but they're always like leaps and bounds ahead of the testing. So people like
True.
the
Oh,
actual
yeah.
drugs,
Yeah.
they're years ahead of.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's the idiot out there who gets caught for something that's currently able to be tested or
blowing,
something
yeah.
that's been known to be helpful, but they know about that stuff.
yeah, they were using the EPO for like a decade before they even got a test. for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't
Is
know.
this the next thing? It's like super cocaine. I don't know. I mean,
But
this
how
is,
do you take that in a race that's got television cameras, and if you're an up and coming star, that's like
put that
there's
powder
gonna be
in
art.
you just put that powder in a drink or something
Real
like that, right?
sneaky,
Like,
like-
But you're
you
going to
take
do
a-
that while you're on your bike, and you're not going to get a
Probably.
bottle from your car.
Yeah, that's
super
true.
sneaky. You're just gonna be real sneaky about it.
I mean, well, and then the other question was they were saying that it was possibly a transponder of sorts that was transmitting data. That you're only allowed to transmit certain bits of data. Like you
Yeah.
can't be sending like power numbers and things of that nature. But I think you're only allowed to transpond like your GPS
Yeah.
coordinates.
You're not allowed to send power back to the...
That's so not exciting. Though, if they're like, we got him for the transponder, like, who cares? Like, it's like Remco was going
Right.
to win anyway. It's like Remco could have been on a steel frame. He's still going to win that race.
I don't know. That's one of those ones we'll have to sit tight and see what comes about that. And it's
I kinda
unfortunate
hope-
to be.
I
They're not
really
gonna
hope he
find
doesn't
anything.
get popped for anything. I really hope he doesn't.
They're not going to be able to prove any of that.
No.
It sucks that it
I hope
becomes a
they
he
can.
said, she said kind
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
situation. But
Talk about a code of silence. Could you imagine that Sonnier in that room? Remco looking at him being like, what'd you put in your pocket, man? Nothing, right?
Yeah,
that was
right.
nothing. That
Unless-
was,
But
that was my
now-
AirPods,
Strange.
right?
Now there's this question mark over
Yeah.
Remco's head that wasn't there before.
Maybe someday, 20 years from now, he'll just be like, oh, yeah, this is what we were doing.
that would be
Straight up
fantastic.
crack.
With Oprah.
Crack.
Yeah.
There's crack pipe.
There's a
He's
crack
gonna-
pipe.
He's gonna get on to Oprah and it'll be like 20 years
It'll be
later.
Oprah.
Oprah will be like, I don't even know who Remco Evenepoel is. It's like,
Oprah's on it. I trust Oprah with all my cycling news.
I do too, actually. Yeah.
So do we
Oprah
think
will
it's,
probably still be on TV. in
do we
20
think
years.
it's happening in
She
the
will
tour
be.
currently? Do we think that there are people on some sort of performance enhancing drug?
Yes. Somebody's on something.
I mean,
I want to say no,
100 and
but I also
176
believe
riders.
Lance Armstrong told me no,
170.
so I don't know.
if you're talking about like 176 riders, are all of them clean? Heck no.
No.
The numbers are just not in your favor.
The odds of that are like 0.1% that everybody's clean.
The question would be, I think the
I
real
think
question is,
more
like, are
are
they all
clean.
doing it? Are they all on something like they used to be? Like, we all know that they were all on EPO back in the day.
Yeah.
So are they still all on something? Probably something that's at least questionable. There may, I would say, like we talked about xenon gas, right? Like this
Xenon gas.
Xenon gas. So
That's what
this
they
is,
were accusing Froome of a couple years ago.
well,
yeah.
but it's not illegal. So a lot of these riders should be doing it. I mean,
in
they
theory,
should.
on how they use it, I do not know the physiology behind this, but apparently it is a red blood
So-
cell stimulant. Yeah.
Right, exactly. It
Yeah.
does the same thing, raises hematocrit levels.
It's supposed to
Yep.
be another EPO type drug.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're breathing it in, so it's
Yeah.
kind of similar to, well, I mean, look
Not
at
doing
it
the
like,
needles anymore.
Look at an
Yeah.
altitude tent. That's
Yep.
completely legal,
You're
right?
right.
And so this is doing a similar sort of thing, just it's a certain way to
We
just
should
have
ban
your,
everybody.
What
who lives
about
in Boulder.
sauna training to increase
Sauna
plasma
training?
volume?
plasma
Exactly.
volume. I think
Exactly.
all of these riders should probably be looking at their, all of these
They
options.
should be doing all those things anyway because they're all legal and they're not.
And then we talked about ketones,
Yep.
which we know was pretty pervasive in the tour last year. I assume it is this year. So all of these things are questionable, but if they're not illegal, that's my line in the sand.
Yeah.
Personally, it's
if
like,
it's not
hey,
written in the rule book, no, I agree with you. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
well,
what you're
you and I,
asking
no,
these
we're supposed to
guys to do-
disagree.
I know,
First
I
of
know.
all, but I thought like,
But I agree with you in the sense that here's the crazy thing to me is we continue to put these terms and these like negative images with everything that they ban as like a PED, which is a big list. Like,
Right.
this is a PED, this is a PED, this is cheating. But the tour continues to get, it's not harder and harder, but the racing keeps on
Right.
getting to higher levels. We want this entertainment for 3 weeks. You're asking these guys, and anybody who's done bike racing knows, could you imagine on day 18, like, all right, what's the stage today? That's 110 miles with 14,000 feet of climbing.
Right.
And this is not a ride. This is not like a team training camp
No.
ride. This is like, by the way, on each climb, you're going to need to hold your FTP, if not a little bit more. And I really hope your legs came to play today because Bernal just, huffed xenon gas in the back and
Right.
just did a line of cocaine on the way up that climb and was born at 10,000 feet and is literally a machine on a bicycle. Go and try and keep up with him. Like, we're asking impossible things of these athletes. Why does it surprise us that, like, anybody would go and try to do something to get to that level?
Yeah, right.
Because these are hyper competitive. Like, I'll use, and I really hate that I keep on saying the name Adam Yates, but like, Adam Yates is a great cyclist, and he's right on the cusp of being somebody who's competing for that tour podium. I mean, God, could you imagine him being like
I just need
the type of guys that are like
more.
9th or 10th place, and there's like, I need to break in that top 5. I need 0.1% more out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, God, that's a hard ass to be like, oh, make sure you do it on bread and water there, Adam. Don't touch that
okay.
stuff that's in Remco's
okay,
pocket.
but in your mind, someone takes ketones or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
As long as it's specifically not in the rules, I'm all for it.
The gas, xenon gas, which
All for it.
You're
That's
cool
fine.
with?
Now, here's the funny thing. If you asked, would I take anything? I don't even like taking ibuprofen
Right.
ever. So, no, I would never take anything. But I'm not fast. So, this is the difference.
Here's your problem.
Nobody's paying
Gotta
me
get on
to
the
ride a
xenon gas,
basketball.
man.
Nobody's
I'll bring
paying
a-
me to ride a bicycle.
I'll
uphill
bring a
fast.
tank over to your house.
Oh,
Of
I-
xenon gas.
You got
yeah.
xenon gas
Oh, yeah.
in your garage?
It's probably, I got it in the car.
I'm
if you want
stopping
some.
by.
The only the only
attach it to your
reason,
bike.
the only reason I do these sports is so I can see exactly what I can do naturally to a certain level.
Yeah.
But I
That's
understand
good.
that I don't make $1 million a year riding a bicycle. So yeah, it's a
Just
completely
a
different.
$500,000 for you.
Just-
No. I think that's a good, I think that's
Yeah.
a good way to
It
take
has to
the-
be in the rules.
Yeah. The line has to be somewhere. So that's the line.
How much do we know about xenon gas, guys?
Like
Nothing. We know
Like
nothing.
absolutely nothing.
Any
yeah.
long-term studies on that of like
No,
what the
probably not.
the
Yeah.
effects of?
Well, it's not like you're
I
breathing
know
it all the time.
EPO's got a
I think
bunch
you
of
just-
dangerous studies.
There's a
along with it,
relationship
too, yeah.
between xenon and the body's production of its own EPO.
Yeah.
Your body naturally produces EPO.
Yeah, it's a red blood cell
Xenon.
stimulant. Yeah,
it's a red blood cell stimulant.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I actually
Highly
worded that
used by
wrong.
Russia.
Well, yeah, they
course.
said they've been using it for the past
been
10
using
years.
it for a decade.
Supposedly.
Christoph.
Christoph is Norwegian.
Oh, is he? My bad.
He is.
I think I in another episode was like Vinokurov, Russian. It was like he's Ukrainian. I was like, okay, same thing.
That is strange. I wonder how many people are going to start looking up xenon gas now and saying,
Well, I'm looking at it right now,
That's
and I
like,
still
sign me
can't
up.
figure it out.
Yeah. No, I think
How do you use this?
same thing. I was like, I looked into it when there was like some big issue, and it's just, I think it's one of those things where it's like you have a hit of this gas every night, and it helps you raise your
Yeah.
hematocrit levels.
Yeah.
So It's a red blood cell producer.
Ober's
it's
gonna
not like
have
you have to hit it. Like it's not like you have to be masked up all the time.
Ober's going to be testing dialed on like a
Obra.
weekly basis now.
Yeah, because they do so much drug testing.
It's
We're targeted. Yeah.
Only dialed is going to get tested.
This is a total side tangent. Do you guys think that Obra should have some sort of drug testing policy?
Yes.
Yes.
How would they implement that?
You charge everybody $5 extra.
Make it 10
for the year,
awesome.
and you make random tests at races.
Like state championship.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
You wouldn't know when the test is coming, but you know
they need to do that
every race
badly. It's only like the winners of races that get tested in triathlon. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think so. I've talked about this on the podcast. I haven't, not recently, but like you threaten to be drug testing. And people know that it's a thing that might be there. Like, oh, don't go to this race. They drug test at this race. Like, go to a different race.
That's why you make it the state championship.
Well,
in my opinion, because
state championship for sure.
Yeah.
But then also, I think just like even if you're not going to drug test, just be like if they see on there like this little box where it's like I'm paying this extra $10 for drug testing, like they're going to be like, oh crap. They're definitely going to have drug testing. I already paid for it.
It could at least scare some people to stop.
Yeah.
And
at the very least, there's not going to be people get away with it. But.
I even think that like the race director should just be like, we are drug testing. Like my suggestion was like, wait till you have all those entry fees in your pocket, and then announce. By the way, we're drug testing, and then if.
I liked your idea where you don't even drug test sometimes.
No. You don't have to drug test.
You have to threaten.
Testing.
We're
drug testing this race.
Just be like, by the way, like thank goodness we're drug testing this, and you could come up with some like, we're drug testing the top 10 and randomly 100 random people throughout the race, and they're not going to know. They're not going to know if you're telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
You're definitely not telling the truth.
They told us at USAT Nationals, they're like, we're drug testing. And I asked around, even a lot of the guys who were like top 10, I was like, did I make a drug test? Like, no, I don't think so.
I got drug tested in college.
Really?
Like at the NCAA championships. They randomly selected people throughout the entire like 200 runners or whatever.
Take the whole Alabama
team. There was like 3 people from Alabama, and I was like, random people that they chose. Wonder what they think about our team.
They tried to make it seem like they weren't singling out Kenya by like the 3 fast runners at Alabama and Matt.
That guy looks pretty white.
He's from Alabama, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll test him too.
What is the cost of a drug test? How much does it cost for you?
I think it's expensive.
Is it?
Well, so there's different types of drug tests, right? So there's like just we're going to grab urine and we're going to check for like anabolic
broad
steroids.
Spectrum, yeah.
But then it's like, that's going to pick up like
blood tests and all.
But then if you're like, EPO and blood tests, that's like, an order of magnitude more expensive. And so the ones that they do for NCAA championships, I'm sure, I don't know for a fact, but that was just like, make sure that Matt's not on big time steroids. Which I was.
Gotcha, NCAA.
I'm like 10 times bigger now than I was back then. You look at the guy that can't put a shirt on without it falling off, and you're like, that guy's probably on steroids. But
Google says a single EPO test can cost $300.
And that's probably the test, not to mention the fact that you're flying people to the race, putting them up in hotels, it's an expensive process. And that's one of the reasons why they're like, and you have to have someone draw blood. They're not doing any of that during all of the pandemic process where everyone's quarantined. It would not be safe to do that. And in fact, I think I don't know if it was the president of WADA or someone like high up said like they had like this press conference and he was like, people are going to take advantage of the fact that we're not drug testing. Like it was very well known that this was the situation. Like if you're inclined to do drugs, that's like the open season for doing it. So this is the year for sure if you're going to do it. I mean, maybe it was the year. Maybe things are different now.
There's no races.
Yeah. There's no races. Well, the Tour de France is going on, but there's that.
All right. Well, anything else that you guys want to add to this conversation? Any other questions? We're getting a little long here.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs, kids. I know we're joking about it here, but like, just see what you can do yourself. That's great. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, same.
No drug's gonna help you that much either. No. I really don't believe. Yeah, it's just like hard work and just be consistent.
I'm on drugs personally, and I'm training at least 30 to 45 minutes per month. And
And
the
now
drugs,
1 hour per
for
day.
some reason, the drugs in my FTP seems to be dropping. I don't know why. It's going the wrong direction.
I take an iron supplement every day. Does that count? That's about it.
That does.
Your-
It's PED.
your-
I'm taking iron.
I need to get on that iron.
It's because I don't eat meat.
Oh,
So-
yeah, that's right. That's a good idea.
Darn vegans.
Dang vegans.
All right, let's move on. One last thing. Anybody want to go first?
I always have an easy hey, I got a video. I posted this video and it actually is really long. It's like a 20-minute video. It's probably one of the longest videos that I've ever done. It's about a watch and it's generally geared towards multi-sport and outdoorsy type people, and I'd say really kind of like ultra runner type things like that, but it would work fine for any cyclist or whatever. And I am giving away this $430 watch. So go watch the video and comment on it so that someone from the podcast can win this watch.
Cool.
YouTube.com. You're going to win.
I wanna get this
You
watch.
actually have to log in
I
to
really
comment.
need to get this watch. I need to figure out how
I'm going to
YouTube
comment
login.
right now. Wait,
Yeah,
don't have
I
to
just
watch.
comment off of Cassie's YouTube. Is whenever
There
I
you go.
comment on
Cassie
your
can
videos.
win then.
It's always me commenting on it whenever it's Cassie comments.
Well, Cassie's going to get the watch. And youtube.com/mlegrand, and it's the watch is called the Polar Grit X. It's a good watch.
Cool. You also did you were in another video.
Yeah.
That's Matt's video right there.
Was it like an advertisement or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was also in this. So I have all these other YouTube friends because we're making friends out here. And this guy from England and I did this video together where we talk about Ironman. Again, still, some of that satirical bit that I had done last week, saying Ironman's there to take your money, but you're not going to get to race this year. And we talked about kind of his situation, and he had a broken collarbone right around when I had my crash. And so we're buddies, and he's been super frustrated with Ironman. They basically are waiting until 45 days before the race and canceling races right after that, knowing full well that they're not going to have the race, but taking people's registration money. So they're doing some pretty shady stuff. Yeah. And so I've been outspokenly negative about Ironman, and a lot of people are pretty angry with me about that. In fact, Ironman's lawyers actually had they actually had the video that was posted to Facebook, had that taken down. So
Did it get back up?
no,
It didn't.
So
Did
then
Facebook respond to your request to...
I filed an appeal.
Yep.
Because I didn't use
And crickets.
yeah, I didn't use Iron Man's logo or any of their footage, so there's no
You're telling me Mark
copy.
Zuckerberg didn't get back to you on that?
Mark and I are tight, but he just ghosted
Mark.
me. He
Jeez,
can't believe he
Mark.
ghosted me.
God.
So
That was a nice guy. That's
so for you, if you use someone else's footage, and you're take someone else's video and just post it, you can't do that. That's copyright infringement, and that can be taken down. But if you post your own footage, someone shouldn't be able to say, "Hey, that's copyright. Take it down."
Yeah,
So-
that's right. We should just shoot Mark a text and just
I'll
get this.
yeah, right now.
Get this sorted
right now,
out,
he's
Mark.
ghosting me. I don't know if he's like an
I
Iron
think
Man
he's out of
Corporation
town, actually.
fanboy or.
I think he's just out of town this week. He'll get back to you on Monday.
So yeah, but that video is still up on YouTube, and YouTube they haven't had that taken down yet from. So Iron Man's lawyers haven't had that taken down yet on YouTube. So as opposed to looking on Facebook for that, you will have to go all the way to YouTube.
So your buddy from England, what was his name again?
Ben Bridges. He has a channel called This Messy Happy, and he mostly does running stuff. But he was going to do an Ironman, and he still is going to do an Ironman at some point. But he's a great athlete actually, and he helps coach a lot of people online. Gives away a lot of free training programs and things like that. But yeah, so he and I did a collaboration this past weekend. It was really nice.
Pretty good. Yeah, I watched that, and it was neat to see him using your whole video, your little satirical video.
Yeah, I mean, I sent it to him.
How was that received by his crowd? Because he's got a pretty good population of people that are
he's
subscribing.
got 10,000 subscribers or something like that. Everyone's been positive so far. I think the only people that have been really negative were the people, people on Facebook that were kind of sharing this video around that I had posted, and I think that one got 10,000 views or more. And and people were like, "Oh man, what's not Iron Man's fault? They have to stay in business." And I'm like, "Yeah, they have to stay in business, but they just have to still be a good company. And this is a satirical video.
Right.
Everybody
right?
needs to stay in business. And
Everyone needs to
everybody's
stay in
taking
business.
their lumps. It's like, come on.
They could also not openly lie about
Just don't.
races. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
just
it.
don't.
If they're not going to give you your money back for any reason, 45 days or inside of that, and they're purposefully waiting until the
Knowing
day
that the
after
race is
that,
not gonna happen.
That's bad.
that's bad. That's very bad
and-
practices.
That's what they're being sued for in a class action suit currently. It does not look good because they did that in a number of races, not just like a single time or single event. So,
Huh.
I
Interesting.
maybe doing another solo Ironman next year too.
But are you allowed to call it that?
That's true. Yeah. Solo long day. Long day.
longer man.
Longer try day.
Matt, do you want to see the challenge events take over as reign supreme for all things
No.
multisport?
I'll tell you what I want. I want Ironman to step up and be a better company. I would love for
I
someone
agree.
else to take ownership of that group and try and like make a point to have decent customer service and take care of the pros.
I'd love to
And-
see triathletes get a hold of that company.
Yeah.
An actual investor who is a triathlete and actually cares about the sport.
And I know that we're a little long on the show, but I'm still going to ask you this question. It was recently sold from, it was like a Chinese corporation that originally purchased it,
exactly.
and they held on to it for what, about 3 or 4 years?
Triathlon
yeah, a
Terrence
couple years.
video breaks
And
it down
then
very
they
well.
sold it to another company. Which company was it that tied all the debt to it?
A company
was-
before the Chinese
Yes.
company.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And
people blame that Chinese company. It was actually that original company.
there was a company before it. There was a
That
private
screwed the
equity
entire
firm.
process.
And was
Yes.
that the original owners of Iron Man?
No, it's not.
It's actually changed hands a whole bunch of times. So private equity firm dumped a whole bunch of debt on it, sold it off to the Chinese group. The
For like
Chinese
$1 billion or something ridiculous like that, right?
So
It was a big. It was a big.
I don't
money.
know.
I think it was a
But
$1 billion
You
transaction.
know what's sad is I think that the people that have recently purchased it, and this was like
It's the
June or
same
something. This is
group.
fairly
Yeah.
recent.
It's the same group.
It's like the same group that was bad with the debt before. It's not really the same group, but I think it's like some of the same owners of that private equity firm.
It's the primary guy.
It's
Yeah.
not looking good.
Wow.
So
Well,
bad.
I feel bad for triathletes because I know that's like your
it
big
is. It's the
shining
big
It's our,
thing.
it's our jam.
Yeah.
And you know what's really crazy is the Ironman itself. Ironman is owned by Marvel, not owned by Ironman Corporation or
Right.
the World Triathlon Corporation. So I'd love to just see like move the name and then let's do something different with
We
it.
just have Marvel buy it. They got money, right?
Marvel, start doing races.
They don't care about races.
Yeah. Just ask Iron Man to buy it. Marvel Iron Man.
Marvel Ironman.
Just borrow another superhero's name, start your own new organization, multi-sport, something or other.
Dead in the pool.
Deadpool.
There we go.
Deadpool. Come to the Deadpool
Come
event.
to the Dead in the Pool event.
You'll never get past the swim.
Oh my god, yeah.
Sounds good.
It's super cheesy marketing. We'd hate that right away.
Evan, one last thing.
My one last thing is we're getting closer to the weekend of September 19th to 20th,
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
where we will be doing the time trials start. Everybody come and have fun and do whatever distance triathlon weekend you want.
Okay.
I will be doing the full distance because I will not call it an Ironman.
No, you're invited, Lance.
I'm not coming.
You're invited. You should hop out on the bike and bring your camera and
Yeah.
fun.
Get some time trial in
photos.
it.
Get some photos of this guy crying.
There you go. Yeah, there'll be plenty of those.
Lance, one last thing.
I was supposed to be at Lake Powell this whole week with all my college buddies. We get together usually around this time for fantasy football
That's
stuff.
right, yeah.
But fantasy football is a big giant question mark as well this year, so we're going to be doing something different. I was supposed to be going to Lake Powell, but with my parents' situation, I'm sticking around. I'm not leaving. I'm not driving all the way to Utah, so I'm.
Does it help to be close to home right now?
It does.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so we're just trying to make sure everything chills and settles down and,
Okay.
and all that jazz. However, that does allow me to participate in a race this weekend.
Oh, there you go.
So there is another mountain bike race,
Upside, yep.
the Sister Stampede in Sisters, Oregon, right near Bend. It is also a mudslinger event put on by Mike Ripley. And so I'm probably going to go down there and
Wonder what race number you're
try
gonna
to rip
get.
one off. I don't know.
7 probably.
Probably 7. This is an 18-mile mountain bike race with only 1,000 feet of climbing. That sounds like fantastic. Only 1,000 feet of climbing. So a lot of single track.
That'd be fun.
A lot of fun. So I'm going to go lay down some rubber in that and see what happens.
Good
That'd
luck.
be good.
How many teammates are going down with you?
I'm not sure. There'll probably be 3 or 4 teammates that'll be there. I know there's 3 others for sure.
Sure.
But I'm not sure if there'll be others there too.
I believe Srat will probably be down
Srat
there
will be
because he
there.
doesn't miss any races ever
Nope, he'll be
Ever.
there.
I think Eric Taft.
Yep, that's the two that I know that are going for
Terry
sure.
Hamness was going to go, still going to go, but not going to race now.
Correct. He had a little training incident,
Yep.
so
No,
he
I
will
didn't know
not
that.
be racing. Yeah.
Anybody else?
That was the three that I knew were going to be there.
I wish I could go with you. I just don't think my shoulder's ready for mountain biking
Yes,
yet.
it is.
No. It's too fickle, too finicky.
And a
It
race
just-
condition. It's not just going mountain biking.
Only
Yeah.
18 miles.
Yeah.
But how much technical stuff is in it, though?
I have no idea. I've
Yeah.
never done the course, so I have no idea.
Now, not in my defense. There's no reason. Well, granted, I was camping, but a gravel bike race, I probably could have done that. And there's another one on the calendar, correct?
There is with it Tachelma gravel grinder in 2 weeks.
That maybe.
Yeah.
Slight chance maybe I'll join
That
you.
one's like 56 miles and like 5,000 feet of climbing or something.
Maybe. I think I might have that in me, but we'll see.
That'd be
We'll,
fun.
we'll say maybe.
All right.
My one last thing, I just wanted to say congratulations to everybody who's been doing the Dialed 100.
Oh, yeah.
I
there's
actually
a big group. Oh,
genuinely get a kick out of that when I scroll through Strava. I've actually been trying to make a little bit more time specifically for that, just so I can go give people kudos and give them thumbs up
Right.
for the fact that they're doing this, because everybody's logging their rides and they're putting in the description Dialed 100 and
I gotta start
ride
putting
whatever.
I gotta start putting that in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've just been phoning it in, man. Zwift, France, done.
But you're the guy that tells everybody, like, hey, give yourself a good title.
I don't know. I think that's you guys. I don't care about that.
you always have said that before. I will go back into the archives, the
Okay.
Dialed archives, and I'll pull something up about
right.
making sure that you title your stuff. Have fun with the trainer rides. That's what I do with it. That I don't do anything creative unless it's a trainer ride, and it's just something for me to do while I'm
I'll
on the
try
trainer.
and get more creative on my titles. They have not been that creative lately. So
But I just wanted to say congratulations to all those people that are doing day 13 today. There's a pretty decent good pile of people out there that are doing this, and it's pretty fun. I know that there were some people that were kind of kicking themselves, missing it. The little things that came up here and there. So we kind of talked about this before. Maybe we should have some other links. Well, we are going to do one, and it's going to be the Dial 50. So instead of it being
cool.
a 75 and a 25, and we're just going to do the Dial 50. So you could do half of it.
I was telling JP, I was like, got to do this. Got to join us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like, I'm already too late.
Yeah,
So-
well, if you want to do your own little thing, you can just start today and be the Dialed 87 or whatever it is. So-
The 50 will be good.
but 50 will be out there, and we'll talk more about that as we get closer. So,
Cool.
all right, that is it. That is a wrap for this show. Thank you for listening. Come back for next week. We'll have some more exhilarating knucklehead talk over here. We appreciate you listening. Go to thedialedpodcast.com to learn more about the Patreon. And until then, bye for now.
And the techniques some athletes have used to beat the system have been amazingly imaginative. Take, for instance, the European cyclists who would insert condoms of clean urine into their anus and then, in order to conceal everything, would cover it with fake hair blending into the real hair of the nether regions. And you have to imagine that to convince a cyclist to do that, a coach would need to deliver the most inspirational speech in the history of sports. Hey, do you want to be a champion? Do you? Then you jam in that piss balloon, pick up that hot glue gun, slap on that anus merkin and ride like a champion. Full anus, clear tests, can't lose.